Chapter 251. The aimless rotating muzzle nearby seemed to have found the target, and it turned a big bay in an instant, all aimed at the two dragons of Shillong and Kama. The dazzling infrared rays illuminate them densely. Go, Karma said involuntarily, taking Shillong's hand and quickly leaving, but when he landed on a nearby island, no UFO came to stop him. Be patient. What we have to do is not to rescue violently, it would be too risky. Maybe Zero thought too much, Kama explained. I know, teacher, don't worry, I am not that impulsive dragon. Shillong showed a calmness that was unexpected by Karma. It seems that power has not blinded his wisdom. Kama is very pleased. Let's get the ID certificate first, and then come back and try. As Karma said, he chose a nearby place to log population information. Along the way, the pedestrians on the road were very people. Some were riding very smart cars that looked like bumper cars. The cars drove on the horses automatically. They all sat in the cars with a thick book in their hands, watching carefully. Don't worry about collision problems at all. On the mid-air track, there are still a few animal carts that are like medieval carriages. There are many pedestrians on the street. They are all wearing wizard robes, and some seem to be in a hurry, walking around in a hurry. Others read while walking. Each one is even more exaggerated than the Blue Star schoolmaster where Sillin was in his previous life. Shillong felt a sense of depression in them. It seemed that something had been driving them behind, making the rhythm of their lives so tense. Because the two dragons were both human-shaped and wearing robes, they did not attract the attention of others. Been walking for a while. Shillong and Karma saw a young man in his 30s, hurriedly finding an arcanist patrolling the street and said, "Your Excellency, Sergeant Arcanist? My son is now 14 years old, but he is a arcane waste has not yet become the lowest level arcane private. I think he needs to be recycled." Oh. The arcanist, known as the arcane sergeant, glanced at the young man and said, "I know. I will take care of the garbage. Living this kind of garbage is really a waste of the world's resources. Go. Take me over and catch him." "Okay, I'll take you there." The young man smiled indifferently. Shillong followed Kama while watching the two men. Soon they were seen entering a private house, where a young-looking boy was reading a book silently. But the two people who came in suddenly caught the little boy's attention. Originally seeing his father's relatively plain expression, after seeing the arcane sergeant next to him, his complexion changed drastically, and he opened his mouth to say something. His complexion was very excited and frightened, but his father replied a few words mockingly. In the end, the little boy screamed and jumped up from the chair, trying to escape. But the arcane sergeant on one side had been prepared for a long time, and the magic crystal he had been holding on his right hand flickered slightly. The air around the little boy instantly solidified, and he seemed to be bound by invisible power, struggling in place, exclaiming. The look was terrified. The arcane master waved his hand, and a giant magical palm appeared, just grabbing the little boy in his palm. Then the arcane sergeant said something to the young man, and the young man watched the arcane sergeant leave and ran towards the west. When the arcane sergeant grabbed the little boy and walked on the road, many passers-by on one side showed horror and many expressions were plain. No one stopped this unreasonable scene. Shillong watched the arcane sergeant bring the little boy to the crematorium, handed the little boy to a crematorium, and left. After arriving at the crematorium, the child kept yelling, and the shock in his eyes was almost overflowing. But it didn't work. In the end, he was thrown into the furnace and died in panic and pain. What is this? Shillong combined the conversation between the father of the previous child, the young man, and the arcane sergeant, and faintly guessed something. What is waste without arcane abilities? Is it trash that is not worthy of living in the arcane empire, and has only the fate of being destroyed? This kind of cruel system makes Shillong a headache. Compared with these guys, Shillong felt like a great dragon. After all, his cruelty is only aimed at the lawless and enemies. And this seemingly prosperous Doma arcane empire is also extremely cruel to its own people. Xylem followed Karma, his face very heavy. Kama apparently also found something wrong with Shillong, and immediately asked. Shillong didn't hide it, and told Kama some things he saw. This made the ancient dragon, who was nearly 1,000 years old, a little dazed. In the mind link said, these humans have completely lost some of the feelings they should have as humans, like some mechanical parts. Only useful parts are valuable, and useless parts are all destroyed. Under the extremely cruel system, they gave birth to a super civilization. He was a little emotional, and Lianglong soon came to the place where the information was registered. Everyone here is reading in their spare time, and Shillong also sees some private rooms meditating one by one. As for why these guys worked so hard, Shillong and Kama already knew the reason, and were not curious about it. When two dragons stepped into the room, they raised their heads in front of the counter and said coldly, "What's the matter? My grandson and I are arcane masters from far away. Hearing the glory of Thomas's arcane empire, we are here to visit." Thomas said. "Oh." A staff member responded, and then asked them to stand on a machine. This is a high-tech instrument Wuxia world. Online, it just scanned 2 dragons and recorded some information, and some of them need to be filled in manually. The 2 dragons filled in quickly, and the people here didn't mean to embarrass them at all. Until the end, one of the staff members reminded, "You are here for the first time. I have to remind you not to be nosy, and not to approach places that should not be approached. If you want to visit the Arcane Master, you can go to various places. Arcane School, there are many great arcanists." After speaking, the staff member dropped his head and continued reading. "The place that shouldn't be near refers to the floating city to the east?" Kama asked suddenly. "Huh." The staff raised his head and glanced at Karma. "Have you been there?" "Yes, I think the buildings there are the most magnificent. I wanted to go there to see, but I was warned." "Haha, there is a place for the nobles of the empire to stay. You arcane mages from other places should save the province. Even I am not qualified to go there," the staff said coldly. Chapter 252. Is there no way to get in? I want to communicate with the best arcanists. Kama was embarrassed. "It's not impossible if you want to go in. You can go in after you have lived in the empire for 30 years, have a real household registration, and then have the strength of a magic ensign." Magic ensign? What does this mean? Oh, I almost forgot. The classification of arcane skills here is not the same as that of the soil buns outside of you. The staff member was taken aback and smiled slightly. "We are all officers here to classify strength, from private to upper ranks. Private is a 5th level arcanist, and the colonel is a 20th level legendary arcanist. As for the above major generals, lieutenant generals, there is no need to elaborate." Karma and Shillong felt like they heard each other's words. The colonel is just a legend. What about the major general, the lieutenant general, and the general? Which one represents a demigod? Karma asked tentatively. "Legend is just a colonel? The demigod should be an admiral, right?" "It seems you are not stupid yet." The staff smiled slightly. "Yes, the arcane admiral is a demigod, but our demigod here is much stronger than yours outside. Those demigods outside of you come to us. Here, they are generally only assigned to the rank of lieutenant. It deserves to be the greatest arcane empire." Kama complimented. "That's natural. Our country has fought against the gods. The great empire that still stands. The gods will sooner or later be defeated by us," the staff member said very proudly. "If that's the case, my grandfather is only a colonel?" Shillong, who looked like a child, said suddenly. "Colonel level?" The staff member was taken aback. "Your grandfather has a colonel level? That is, the level of 19th arcanist?" He looked at Karma carefully. The old man had white hair and looked 70 or 80 years old, wearing a robe and very energetic. "The whole human beings and animals are harmless. There is no power at all. It is actually level 19? The most important thing is to be so polite to him." The look of the staff is a little more serious. Several staff members who had been reading a book also looked up slightly. "Yeah, my grandfather is with us, but he is super powerful, a famous arcane master," Shillong said, seemingly naive. "Oh," the staff member said. "Take out a crystal ball-like instrument from under the table. Pour your own magic power into it. Show me." Karma glanced at this magic item, smiled slightly, rolled up the slightly longer sleeves, and gently put his palm on it. There are 20 divisions in this magic crystal ball. After Kama injected the magic power, the partitions inside lit up one by one, and it didn't stop until the 19th one. Kama retracted her hand. At this time, Shillong found that the eyes of these staff looking at Lianglong became much more enthusiastic. The staff member who had been talking to them before smiled and said, "Sure enough, I have the rank of an arcane colonel." The two are polite. While talking, he put on his temples, which seemed to represent etiquette. This should be their etiquette here. Shillong and Karma have learned a lot. 2. This is my information card with my communication number on it. If you have any difficulties later, you can contact me directly. The staff seemed very enthusiastic. "That's right. You don't know the contact machine of our empire when you first arrived, right? This is also a characteristic alchemy prop of our empire. As long as you enter the corresponding code number, you can communicate within 1,000 miles. You can buy one outside. Life will be much more convenient in the future. The price is not too expensive. Only 1 gold coin or 10 grams of arcane dust is enough." As the staff spoke, they showed the liaison machine and arcane dust very intimately. The contact machine is somewhat similar to the cell phone of Shillong's previous life. As for the arcane dust, it is some light blue powder. What the staff showed was a small blue square, representing 10 grams. In the arcane empire of Thomas, the arcane cube is the mainstream currency. It is the main material for making most of the alchemy props, solidified by arcane dust. "Oh, thank you very much for your reminder, sir." Kama smiled. "You were polite. Our empire always cherishes the talents with arcanist qualifications. As long as you follow the rules, you will surely gain a place in the empire." The staff is very welcoming. "Thank you very much for your doubts, but I really want to go to the central island. There must be the best arcanist living there. I really want to visit and learn." Only by communicating with real masters can my level continue to improve. To be honest, I have been stuck at level 19 for a long time. Karma said, her expression a little annoyed, but at the same time she was a little longing. The people living in the central city are indeed the elite of the elite, but there are no major generals, that is, legendary arcane masters on other islands. Of course, if you have to go in, you can only rely on the major general arcane master to lead. Other people simply do not have this ability. There is no other way? I and those legendary arcane masters are not close to each other. How can they take me? Kama rubbed his temples with a headache. The staff thought slightly, and his eyes lit up after a moment. There is another way. I heard that recently we have some major general arcanists here, who often take their students to the inner city to communicate with the elites inside. As long as your grandson can become a disciple of the great arcanist, you can naturally enter. Let my grandson be a disciple of the arcane master? Can this work? Kama hesitated. Don't worry, even if your grandson does not have such an outstanding arcane talent as yours, you can still get started as long as you spend enough money. But the tuition is not cheap. Wuxia World Online needs 500 gold coins a year. 500 gold coins. Kama was slightly startled, her heart aching and embarrassed. Sir, don't you? With your strength and age, even in those wildland, it shouldn't be difficult to own this money, the staff member said. There is a natural. Karma sighed and finally gritted his teeth. Well, in order to make my arcane skills further, what is the money? He seemed determined. That's right. For arcane magic, we can give everything, the staff member said, giving another weird gift. If your excellency believe me, you can go to Master Bob to sign up. The standard they charge is exactly 500 gold coins. Of course, if your grandchildren have good talents, they will accept them as apprentices for free. Chapter 253. Free? Kama's eyes lit up. Thank you for the information, sir. Then he said goodbye to the staff, just as the two dragons were about to leave. Other staff also ran over immediately and handed two dragons an information card. After a few enthusiastic words, Kama and Shillong were considered to leave. After leaving, the two dragons walked on the street together, and Kama asked Shillong, "What did the female arcanist just put in your hands?" Xylem glanced at Karma, turned the paper on his hand, and saw the following. Cute little brother, do you know the difference between boys and men? If you want to know, come to Boya Hotel at 8 o'clock in the evening, and I will be waiting for you there. Kama shook his head speechlessly. He took the paper, and then a ball of flame burst out of his palm to burn the paper. These female arcanists are so vulgar, even a child who seems to be 13 or 14 years old. Morality is missing. The world is getting worse. These guys from the Arcane Empire have bad morals. Kama stroked her gray beard and sighed. Shillong. Child, we are going to the Bob Arcane Master now. At that time, you will show your talents a little bit, and let them take you away. With your ability, there is no problem thinking about it. Kama said casually as he walked. Okay, teacher. Xylem replied. Teacher, the look of your distressed gold coin just now, is it true? Xylem suddenly recalled the manner and tone of teacher Karma when he spoke before. He thought it was all acting, but now it seems otherwise. This old dragon also has a common problem with dragons. Two dragons arrived at Bob's Mage Tower within a short time according to the address provided by the previous staff. This is a tall building like a bell tower, and the entire surface is carved with blue arcane patterns. The blue light is flowing. Two bronze golems about 2 meters tall stood at the gate. When the two dragons approached, they just scanned for a glance, and they didn't live anymore. The two dragons passed through a thin film-like barrier and walked into the gate. It looks quite spacious inside, the size of several basketball courts. Shillong saw several young men wearing arcanist robes watching a pair of male and female students in the field. The man is a handsome boy with short blonde hair and looks only 16 or 17 years old. The woman looked 18 or 19 years old. The comparison between the two is rather a casual battle. The elder woman held a staff made of steel in her hand. The head of the staff was pointed at the young man. On the ruby on the top, arcane missiles with large basins rushed at the young man like raindrops. However, the young man was barehanded, with a circle of elemental magic surrounding him. There is a fire-red flame orb, blue water element law ball, purple thunder ball, gray earth element magic ball, green wind element magic ball. Every arcane missile that wanted to attack him would be destroyed by the elemental orb behind him when it was about 10 meters away. Between the two, the roar continued. After an elemental magic ball flew away, a new appearance soon appeared behind the young man. The man's complexion is always at ease. With his hands behind his back, he looked at the woman opposite with indifferent eyes. His firepower is stronger than that of women, and occasionally an elemental missile flies over the explosive zone in the middle, which will make women messy. There is a big gap between the two fighting and the mages outside in the Shillong image. These two young arcanists are definitely the kind of existence that can suppress or even sling fighters at the same level. Their fighting methods are much more advanced than those outside. Shillong guessed that this must be related to the improved arcane they possess. After all, it is the greatest arcane empire. All arcane arts have been meticulously improved by countless people. It combines the characteristics of fast casting, powerful, and low consumption. Just looking at the combat power of these two men, you can definitely compete against the fighters at level 13 alone. Seeing an outsider coming in, the young man cast a faint glance, and then stretched out his left finger to point at the woman in the distance. The woman in the distance only felt her body in a quagmire. Seeing another flame missile blasted towards her, she was unable to avoid it. Bump! The fireball directly hit the woman, and a circle of light suddenly appeared on the woman, neutralizing the power of the explosion. I lost. The woman sighed slightly. As expected of the teacher's genius disciple Malong, you already have the strength of an arcane captain, right? Haha, it's almost. The man smiled faintly, and the 5-color element magic behind him disappeared one by one. Then he turned to Shillong and Karma and asked, "Is there anything wrong with the two guests coming here?" Xylem looked at the man silently. The body under his robe was engraved with various arcane patterns, and the space-solidified spell that was finally cast. Part of the arcane patterns on the waist of his body flickered slightly. Is this also a unique spellcasting form of Thomas's arcane empire? His Excellency, I heard that Master Bob is a very good arcanist, and my grandson also has excellent arcane talent. I want my child to worship Master Bob, Kama stroked said with his beard. Oh! The young man and the students who were watching the battle glanced at Xylem. There was even a trace of contempt in the young man's eyes. It is the useless people who spend a lot of arcane dust to come in. Wouldn't these mediocre people accept their useless fate obediently? I always thought that if you worship a good teacher, you can get ahead. Haha, it's really ridiculous. In the arcane world, only talent is the most important thing. Why don't these wastes understand? Line up to send money to Teacher Bob. Kololo, the teacher's business is here. Wuxia World. Online, come and entertain. The young man exclaimed with a look. Meow. Ignored all the time. A small black cat hiding in the corner suddenly jumped up. Its body size is about the same size as a normal cat, and it looks very small, with a moon scar on its forehead. He glanced at the young man's call. When seeing Shillong and Karma, the black cat showed a look of joy and jumped towards the two dragons. While still in the air, I couldn't help but yell, Meow. Has anyone come to send arcane dust again? 5 kilograms. Thank you. When he landed next to the two dragons, his whole body's hair was instantly vertical, and his body was stunned on the spot as if he had been cast a static magic. What's the matter with you, Kololo? The young man gave the black cat a surprised look. Meow, meow. It's okay. I twisted my foot just now. The little black cat stammered and spoke not very neatly. He stepped back a little later, twisted his leg, and then quietly walked to Karma and stretched out his cat's claws. 5 kilograms of arcane dust. Thank you. Chapter 254. Ahem, sorry. I am very confident in my grandson, and believe that he can become Master Bob's disciple with his talent. Karma reminded him with a cough. Yes, is that so? The black cat asked again. Yes. Okay, then you come with me. Testing talent is unusual and requires sophisticated magic equipment. As the little black cat said, he limped into a magic circle in the corner. Shillong and Kama followed closely behind. Wait, I'll go and take a look together. I'm very curious what kind of little genius I can see today. The young man yelled from a distance and quickly followed. Something is wrong. Kololo is very wrong. It's not like this usually. Sprain the foot? It seems impossible. It is not a harmless pet like its appearance. It's the moon civet specially bred by the Doma Empire. From birth, he has an extraordinary talent for arcane spellcasting. In terms of strength alone, it is not under him. The flexibility and strength of the body are enough to tear a general corporal beast. How could this kind of murderer twist his ankle? There must be something wrong. The three people a cat stood on the magic circle. The little black cat raised a paw and gently tapped a few times on the ground magic circle, and finally the light flashed and disappeared. What's the matter with them? Kirolo and Malong are so weird. Some students asked strangely. It's just a child who thinks he has outstanding talents. What should I care about? Don't there be dozens of such people every year? Someone said. The woman who had fought against Malong did not speak, but frowned, silently looking at the magic circle in the corner. There was a flash of blue brilliance on the ground of a certain layer of the mage tower. The cat appeared. Shillong looked at this place. There are metallic walls everywhere, and the surroundings are a bit empty and cold. This is the place to be tested? Karma asked with some confusion. Yes. Very few people come in here. Everyone pays 5 kilograms of arcane dust, even if they pass the level. Like yours, very few. The black cat twisted his feet and continued walking towards the metal gate. Go with. The others followed, and Mulan was at the end, frowning slightly, looking at Kirolo. Why are you bringing these two guys here? This is not a test point. Soren and Kama followed in the middle. They felt a little wrong in their hearts, but they didn't dare to use arcane detection or communication. Arcane fluctuations would be sensed by sensitive arcanists. After walking to the gate, the little black cat tapped the gate a few times again, and the gate was opened. Exposed inside. This is an extremely empty field, more than a football field. There is a steel pillar with a diameter of about 5 meters in the middle, with many holes on it and many camera-like things around it. You can go in first. Just stand on the pillar in the middle. I'll go to the control room to control it. Then you can follow my command. You can test it out soon. Little Black Cat said. Is it so troublesome to detect arcane talent? Kama asked involuntarily. The ominous premonition in my heart became stronger. Of course, arcane talent is something destined from birth. It is naturally not easy to detect in every drop of your blood, every drop of bone marrow, and every cell. Little Black Cat said. Is that right? Do I have to lie to you? It's unpredictable? I'll pay for it. Test. Let's test. Karma quickly stopped the other party. Soren, you go in? Okay, Grandpa. Xylem glanced at the little black cat and walked in. You also go in with him. The little black cat said to Kama, he is a child, and it may be a bit troublesome for me to teach. You stay with him as an elder. By the way, don't let him break things. After Shillong left, the little black cat Kororo seemed to have a tougher tone. No, my grandson is smart. One person is enough. Kama didn't want to go in. You want to listen to me. You know, I let you in. Just go in. If you don't want to, you can pay. Good. I'll go in and watch my grandson. Isn't it okay? Kama walked in silently. Dropped the huge iron gate slowly closed. Shillong and Karma looked around and found that the iron gate was thick and unusual. It's about 2 meters thick. The 2-meter-thick iron gate exudes a cold texture. Outside the door, the black cat Kororo let out a long sigh of relief, and the whole cat body relaxed. Meow finally sent them in. Kololo, what are you doing? Mulan couldn't understand what Kololo did. Have you forgotten my race? Kororo jumped onto Mulan's shoulder and said, You are a moon cat. How could I forget? Mulan was surprised. As Bob's disciple and an arcane genius, Mulan is extraordinary in both combat and knowledge. Then what is my natural ability? Kololo asked again. Aeoning, mind, hallucination, and danger perception. At the end, Mulant was taken aback. Danger perception? Yes, I felt it in the child of those two people. That is a breath of horror. I can't imagine. What is he and why is it so scary? When I approached him, I felt endless malice. I have been following Master Bob for 60 or 70 years since I was born, but I have never felt this terrible once. My heart stopped beating at that time. Kirolo looked horrified. But I know, I can't show it. If they were torn down on the spot, all the lives we were there would die. Is it scarier than the teacher? Mulant asked. Bob will not be hostile to me. Kololo said, but I believe that the monster inside who does not know his true body is definitely stronger than Master Bob. His malice is radiated from the body unconsciously, as if it is an aggregate of evil itself. If I share my perception of danger with you. You reading www.ukyungsha.com. I think when you approach him, you will faint on the spot. Mulant didn't speak, but his eyes were a little erratic. Who is this dead cat looking down upon? Do you think I have the same guts as you? The body is small, and the courage is also small. Okay, go to the control room. I want to take a good look at the real bodies of the two monsters, and freeze them by the way. Kololo reminded. They must be very rare treasure creatures. They can definitely sell a lot of arcane dust. Perhaps after leaving Shillong, Kororo gradually returned to life. It stretched out its delicate little tongue and licked its lips. Crescent cats like creatures like arcane dust very much. A little bit in their food can make them happy for a long time. Do you like this site? Donate here. Chapter 255. Control Room. A huge vertical screen illuminates a little boy and an old man with a white beard from all angles of view. Kirolo the black cat stood in front of the console, where there were various complicated buttons. Mulant sat in the console seat. One cat and one person carefully observed the two people inside. These two guys are really sluggish. They haven't noticed anything unusual yet. Okay, they're done? Kirolo the black cat laughed. When we close the door, the inside will be filled with forbidden magic particles. There is already a forbidden zone for magic and arcane. While talking, Kololo stroked his cat's whiskers triumphantly. Let me see now, what are you guys? Actually make my body warning reach the maximum? I'm sure I'm going to make a fortune. Kirolo is very happy now. It uses its own pad to gently press a blue button. The picture on the screen slowly turned light blue. This is a real vision. But the two people inside did not change the slightest, but the terrifying little boy seemed to frown. and said something to the old arcanist beside him. Why didn't it change? Mulan looked at Kololo somewhat unexpectedly. It must be that the strength is not enough. This is normal. After all, it is a monster that can make me scared. Needless to say, the accomplishments of transfiguration. Kuroro didn't panic. Press a button again. The blue in the picture is more intense. But the two people inside remained unchanged. 2 gears, really filtered. The effect is equivalent to the 8th level of True Vision spell. It was enough to see through the 9th level transforming technique. It seemed that the two monsters inside were really powerful. Kololo said and pressed the button again. The entire screen is filled with dark blue. Only the two black human beings are very different. Their figures finally changed. A huge black shadow appeared on his body. These two shadows are huge, and the old man's body is about to reach the ceiling. This is a ceiling with a height of 40 meters, enough to capture almost all creatures in the material world. And the children around the old arcanist are even more terrifying. The part above the neck is completely beyond the top of the room, disappeared in the real video screen. He looks much taller and stronger than the old man beside him. A pair of huge wings shrank behind him, and the long tail stretched out 3 to 40 meters away. What kind of monster is this? Mulan's eyelids jumped wildly, always feeling that something bad was about to happen. Damn, these are 2 giant dragons, and they are not ordinary dragons. Kuroro was also taken aback. That old man-like dragon, it looks like it should be in the ancient dragon stage, and the one beside him is definitely Take-Along. Why does this kind of guy still exist on the main material plane? What does the dragon want to do? Do you want to make the war of 1,000 years ago happen again? It's just an ancient dragon. Even a demigod may not reach it and dare to break into the territory of the empire. Kurolo was a little surprised at first, but immediately denied it. The dragon gods of the dragon race will not be stupid enough to let the Taiku dragon come to the empire to die. Prince Ancient Dragon, shouldn't they be able to break free from the cage below? Mulan asked with a frown. Of course it's impossible. Dragons are a kind of magical creatures, and their power will drop in the no-magic zone. If it is a titan who is close to the demigod and is known for its strength, it may be possible to break free, but the dragon is impossible. This cage was built by Master Bob at a great cost, enough to imprison all creatures. Inside the wall, all the super alloy steel is more than 2 meters thick, and it is engraved with inscriptions of shock absorption, compression resistance, and resistance. As long as you enter inside, there is absolutely no possibility of coming out. Kololo channeled himself. What if? Mulan's brows jumped even harder. Nothing. Mulan, why have you become so cautious? Let me tell you the truth. This level of defensive ability is enough to withstand ordinary 11th level legendary spells. If you want to destroy, you can only force a breakthrough, cast from the outside to destroy and impact the meteorite magic that is known for. And inside, the forbidden area makes them only obediently waiting for the upcoming destiny. Kololo shouted. And their destiny is only to become ice sculptures. We store them. While speaking, Kololo wanted to slap the white button sideways with his paw. But at the moment it is about to be photographed, Poppet seems to be photographed on an invisible wall. What are you doing? Kuroro frowned and looked at Mulan with some uncomfortable brows. I think we still don't want to take care of these 2 dragons. Let the teacher decide. Mulan said. Hey, you are so strange today. Why are you so cautious? Kaluiki asked. Didn't you still say that of the 2 of them, that kid is terrible? How can you be so confident now that you can trap him? It's you strange, right? Mulan frowned. Kololo's attitude towards the 2 dragons has changed several times, which is really strange. Hey, my fear is just because of the unknown. When their true bodies are exposed, we can derive the strength of each other based on our rich experience. Because of this, we don't need to be afraid. It doesn't matter if they are locked in the super cage below, whether they are the ancient dragons or ordinary dragons. That being the case, what am I afraid of? Kololo asked back. While talking, he took Mulan's attention and swept his black tail. Swiped directly over the white button. In the room in the picture, a large white frozen mist gushes out from all corners of the room and the iron pillar in the middle. If you make your own claim like this, the teacher may be angry. Mulan was a little helpless. No, I took $2 million specimens for him, and he is happy yet in a hurry. Believe it or not, when he sees 2 ice sculptures inside, he will take out 100 grams of arcane dust for me to eat. Kololo couldn't help licking his lips at the end, then licked his own pad. The mouth is a bit greedy. A few minutes ago, inside the underground cage, Shillong and Karma stood by the metal iron pillar. They have been standing for a while, and they haven't seen the slightest movement here. Wuxia World. Online Shillong frowned slightly and said, Mr. Kama, we may have been exposed. Exposure? It should be impossible. The magic items hidden in you and me are both legendary. Kama shook his head. Wait a minute, after all. It is the arcane empire of Thomas. Common sense. Shillong was silent. He also knows that karma's hidden items are powerful, but he believes that the arcane and alchemy of the arcane empire are more powerful. This kind of super high-tech city. It's not what most people can imagine. He was not surprised that there was something weird in it that exposed the two dragons. But since Karma was so confident, Shillong still had to respect the teacher. Chapter 256. Waited a moment. In the entire empty space, a large light blue light suddenly lit up. Look, this should be the testing method of the arcane empire, Kama said, stroking his beard. I hope so. The blue light in the space is even worse. Karma. It should be an in-depth inspection. The blue light turned dark blue. Karma. This test should be very comprehensive, with a strange and weird test method. But didn't they say that we should cooperate? How can we stand here and do nothing? He is a little strange, but he still maintains a certain awe of Thomas's arcane empire. Perhaps it's coming soon, Silent said. A white mist suddenly gushed from the walls on all sides. Shillong and Karma felt that the temperature around them was dropping rapidly. -10, -30, 50, 100. No. Kama was suddenly alert. When he thought about it, he wanted to cast a fireball to dispel the cold surrounding him, but found that his ability to cast spells was isolated. No, we are really exposed, Karma said in surprise. The two dragons were soon separated by casting spells. When using transfiguration before, the last strand of magical power was consumed. Pong! Amidst a loud noise, his original form appeared. Shillong's huge dragon body appeared, suddenly narrowing the vast space. Because of his height, his whole body is in a half-squat state. Karma was directly squeezed to the edge by Shillong. Teacher, you will be transformed into a human body later. I will lead you to the destination as fast as possible, rescue my mother, and then run away, Xylem said, raising his forelimbs, and slapped the wall fiercely to one side with a roar. Frame. At least 1,000,000 tons of power hit one side wall fiercely. The surplus of the countershock alone made the head of Kama Dorn feel dizzy. The surveillance cameras around directly exploded. The entire mage tower is shaking. Monitoring room. Kololo watched mockingly at the unusually huge black gold monster dragon raising its claws. What does this guy want to do? Are you going to attack the surrounding walls? This is stupid. Maybe his claws will break. Kirolo is very calm. Until the strange dragon slapped its paw on the wall, its expression froze. The entire large screen, dozens of cameras monitoring the screen without blind spots, at this moment, all turned into snowflakes. The entire mage tower is shaking. On the ground floor, the trainees who had been practicing in pairs immediately stopped practicing. They supported the solid surroundings and looked at them blankly. What the is going on? Senior sister? They asked the woman who had previously faced Mulant. This woman is one of the first students to get started. I don't know. I have been in the business for almost 5 years, and this is the first time I have encountered this kind of problem. But anyway, I think we'd better go out and avoid it first. This senior sister said, ran out quickly, and the others quickly followed. And at the top of the mage tower, here lives the most noble person in the entire mage tower, Master Bob. He is in a room full of various instruments and equipment. On the edge of an iron bed, Master Bob is now full of excitement. He cautiously held a magic pattern carving knife, smeared with arcane dust that had been rendered by magic, engraved with magic patterns for a rabbit-shaped monster golem on the iron bed. The whole body of this golem has been densely covered with 99% of the magic patterns. Only the last 1% has not been completed. This is a masterpiece that he has spent several caddies a month to complete the final step. As long as the entire golem is completed, it will have a combat power close to that of a colonel. What's more rare is that it has a good auxiliary role. In the future, he and his old friends can take advantage of each other. Master Bob stared closely at the inscription spreading under the carving knife. Just as it was finished, bump, amidst a loud noise, the whole room trembled fiercely. Master Bob stroked his hand. It had already been crossed, and the route covered with blue magic was severely cut off by the carving knife. The blue light of the entire rabbit golem disappeared instantly. No! My golem! My hard work! Bob yelled up to the sky. Who is it? Dare to break my good deeds. I want to take his soul out of my body. Tuck in a little dog head man, and inside the synthetic beast made up of pigs and bugs. Then throw him into the cesspool. Let him know what true despair is. Master Bob's 1 month of hard work was in vain. This made him let out a desperate roar. Bump! There was another loud noise, and the mage tower vibrated even more. The arcane light on Master Bob flashed and disappeared in an instant. When he appeared again, he had come to a room full of surveillance screens. It was very dark inside. There was no light except the light from the screen, and there was no living person. Only 3 metal golems stood. When Bob's figure appeared here, Several golems instantly recognized Bob's identity, and the red electronic eyes flickered. Dididi, confirm your identity. Master Xinghue Tower Master. Hello, Master Bob. What can I do for you? Tell me, what's the matter with the shock just now? Bob's expression was so dark, like a volcano about to erupt. Dididi is reading all the monitoring and analyzing useful information. Dididi. It has been found. 2 giant dragons appeared in the 8th floor underground, an ancient golden dragon and an unknown ancient black golden dragon attacking the mage tower. While the electronic sound was on, the dark screen in the middle, 2 or 3 times larger than the others, suddenly lit up. Then the scene of Shillong tapping the wall was quickly screened. Damn it, tell me, why? There are 2 dragons or more dragons in my mage tower. Bob roared Wuxia-world.online Dididi. It's the moon cat Kololo and Mulan brought it down. The screen jumped again, turning into the screen of the little black cat Kurolo and Mulong walking into the cage with 2 dragons. These 2 stupid things. Does he want me off so as to inherit my mage tower? It's a dream. Even if I die, it will be inherited by my son and grandson. How can I get these 2 idiots? Asshole stuff. I must have them pay. Bob roared. But before he finished roaring, the entire mage tower shook again. This time it was stronger than the last time. Immediately afterwards, Bob felt that the entire mage tower began to tilt. His complexion suddenly turned pale, and his figure flashed again. Go to the street outside the mage tower. There are wailing and screams everywhere here. Citizens of the Arcane Empire running desperately. Chapter 257. As soon as Bob came out of the mage tower, he felt the scorching heat of the surrounding air. The temperature here was not at the original pleasant 20 degrees Celsius, but turned into a molten of 2 or 3 Baidu. Space is distorted. Make everything seem extraordinarily unreal. A black and gold dragon as high as 17 or 8 stories is standing on the ground. He is like a source of heat radiation, and all the heat is emitted from his body. The terrifying power radiated all around. Roar. A terrible roar resounded from the dragon's mouth, shocking. Some people who hadn't run 1 or 2 kilometers were directly stunned. The sirens throughout the city were sounded, and red lights flickered everywhere on the streets. The whistling sound kept ringing. The golem flying saucers that were patrolling the sky and the ground quickly gathered. Thousands of flying saucer golems simply want to cover the sky. The red electronic eyes flickered nonstop. Dididi. Found the vandals. Discover the vandals. According to the imperial law, roll. Before the flying saucer golem finished speaking, the dragon roared. A shock wave mixed with flames spread out from him instantly. Ordinary buildings, humans, and strange animals within the range will instantly turn into powder as long as they are swept away. Only a few buildings were spared, including Bob's mage tower. But in spite of this, everything on the outside was distorted and out of shape, as black as a ball of scrap iron twists. Within a few kilometers, it was swept away in an instant. The original dense flying saucer golem disappeared. As an arcane master, Bob has already practiced the magical skill of the mage profession, flashing technique, to the point of superb skills. In the flame impact just now, he passed the flame impact directly with a reaction time of less than 0.01 seconds. At this time, he was only 60 to 70 meters away from the unknown dragon with black gold in front of him, and the hot heat continued to pour into his mouth and nose. He had to open the protective cover. A circle of transparent enchantment completely isolates him from the outside, and it feels a little better. Boom. He didn't wait for him to think about whether the next step was to attack the unknown dragon or to escape as soon as possible. A roar came from the front, and dozens of levels of huge wind blew away many building debris around him. There was a thumping crash. Bob's defensive barrier was bumped into ripples everywhere. When the wind dissipated, Bob looked around. The unknown dragon was nowhere to be seen. There is only one huge pit, and it spreads from the pit to dozens of kilometers away, like the red gold track of Hongqiao. Bob's heart was lingering. The power that the dragon had just shown made him decide that he was not an enemy that his legend could deal with. He glanced in the distance, and many people injured in the chaos were wailing. There are also people who are grateful, but more is chagrin. They are ashamed of their weakness. As the greatest arcane empire arcanists, they actually felt fear from the bottom of their hearts just now. The desire to escape takes over the brain and makes them run wild. Until then, after the dragon disappeared, they were a little blushing. If you give them another chance, you must let the dragon know the power of the noble arcanist. Pop touch, there was a strange noise in Bob's ear. From the collapsed mage tower that looked like ruins. Bob turned his head and looked. A somewhat embarrassed figure with a black cat crawled out of the broken window of the mage tower. It was Mulan and Kololo. After they appeared, they looked blankly at everything around them. Here, what the happened? Mulan muttered to himself with a heavy face. Meow. Master. The little black cat Kololo beside him found Bob and called out quickly. Bob's figure flickered and appeared beside the little black cat and Mulan. His expression was extremely gloomy. Look here. It's all good things you two idiots did. If it weren't for you, my mage tower would not be destroyed. Meow. Kuroro and Malong looked at each other. Meow, master, what are you talking about? Kuroro doesn't quite understand. The little black cat asked blankly. Humph. Bob snorted coldly and stretched out his palm at the little black cat. Bob's body was shot into the palm of the little black cat. Bob's fingers squeezed Kuroro's cat's head fiercely and hung it in the air with a grim expression. Stupid. If it wasn't for the two of you to lead the two humanoid dragons into the underground prison, what's going on here? This kind of thing will happen? Eh? You still think I don't know? Tell me a reasonable explanation, or I will embed your head on a small dog head. Let you enjoy the life of a kobold. Meow. Kuroro was taken aback. The hair of the whole body exploded. Master, I don't blame me. Those two terrifying guys want to mix into your mage tower. I don't know what terrible thing I am going to do. I just took them into underground prisons, prepared to rely on the super defenses there to trap them. How could they escape like this? The host. You have to believe in Kololo's loyalty to you. The little black cat looked at Bob with big watery eyes. Teacher, I'm innocent. I was just curious at the time. Why the good-looking Kurolo took them into underground prisons. I have persuaded it before, but it says that it can do everything for you. Mulan also said quickly. The truth. Hearing this, Bob, who had already used lies to detect, looked at Kurolo even more unkind. Damn, Mulant. Actually betrayed me like that. Kurolo hated him, but Bob stared at him and the hair on his head was about to explode. As he rolled his eyes, he immediately said, Master, you think for yourself, if I don't get him out sooner, what should I do if he shows his true shape next to you? At that time, Master, can you clean him up? I am all for your safety. Bob was silent and said for a long time, What you said seems to make sense. It seems that I blamed you. Bob put down the little black cat. Master WuxiaWorld.online, what do you do now? Are you going to support the Empire's interception forces? Fuck it. Just wait here. No matter how strong the unknown dragon is, at most a few waves will be caught by the general arcane magic of the Empire. Damn it. Why appeared in my mage tower? Let me suffer such a loss, Bob cursed, watching the broken mage tower with tears. The red gold meteor formed by Shillong dragged a long tail flame and rushed straight in one direction. The little golems on the road that wanted to intercept were all smashed into powder. Only 1 minute. He spanned dozens of kilometers and appeared again on the central island. He was like a meteorite falling from the sky and slammed into it. Chapter 258. Boom. An island that didn't seem to have any protection. Suddenly a layer of transparent defense barrier appeared in the void. The enchantment that was originally sufficient to defend against the 11th level legendary spell was like a plastic film, which was dented several hundred meters inward by the red gold meteor. After all, Shillong's impact is not a joke. His current weight is 200,000 tons. Impact at 3 times the speed of sound. This power is incalculable. It will definitely not be much weaker than his nuclear respite. Snapped. The defense barrier was quickly pierced. The red gold meteor fell straight to an extremely wide area, like the back garden of a palace. Rumbling the ground is like broken sand. The terrible shock wave slammed into the surrounding with mud, sand and trees and buildings. The mortals who originally worked in the back garden were crushed by the shock wave without even saying a word. The shock wave rushing to the southwest was like an unstoppable evil man, shattering everything that dared to stop it. And the impact went northeast. There stood a tall hall. After the shock wave hit, the arcane magic patterns on the entire palace were all activated. The blue light burst. The magic pattern engraved on it is madly offsetting the shock, reducing force, resisting earthquakes, and diverting. But the palace is still like a ship under the raging sea. Precarious. Pong with this crisp sound. The wall of a corner of the palace shattered directly, blown away by the shock wave. And with this crisp sound, the crackling noise of the entire palace continued to be heard, connecting in a line. Every corner of the palace continued to crack. The interior of the palace. A handsome young man was originally lying on a rocking chair, gently shaking a red wine glass, smiling, watching a few beautiful women and animals dance. But suddenly, the red lights in the entire room began to flash. The whistling sound kept ringing. The beauties of humans and animals who were still dancing stopped in a daze. The handsome young man frowned and said, "Keep jumping. I didn't stop, so let me keep jumping. Otherwise, cut off your feet and supply those in need." The words of a handsome young man don't match his looks at all. It scared a few human and beauties to death and immediately started dancing again. Human and animal. Just listen to the name to know what it means. Humanoid beast. This is captured by the arcane empire from other countries. From birth, the only value of life is to serve the powerful. Life is cheap enough to be worse than slaves in the outer world. In order to ensure the number of humans and animals, the Arcane Empire even set up a floating island to raise people, elves, and other races as animals, just when the handsome man is ready to continue to slowly appreciate the dance. Pong. The whole room shook violently. The red wine glass swaying in the handsome man's hand was not squeezed firmly. It smashed to the ground with a snap. The handsome man fell directly to the ground. The original bright clothes are directly mixed with the red liquid and debris on the ground. Damn! Who will tell me? What happened? The handsome man roared. He hurriedly got up from the ground. The beautiful clothes became a little messy, making him look a little embarrassed. He glanced at the people and animals who had also fallen to the ground and had not yet risen and roared, Turio! Turio! Get out of me! Wong. A blue light flashed. The old man named Tullio appeared in front of the handsome man and leaned slightly. Your Highness! Tullio, tell me, what happened outside? The man who was called His Highness roared. Sorry, I'm not quite sure at the moment, but as long as we go to the surveillance room, I think I can figure out everything. Will you take me there? Yes, Tullio said, and then approached His Royal Highness and flashed away with them. But the whole house roared again. All the bulbs and glass in the room shattered. The gorgeous chandelier on the roof fell to the ground with a thud. Some were directly hit on humans, animals, and beauties, and killed on the spot. Another rushed straight to His Highness. His Royal Highness looked up at the chandelier that landed. His face was very angry, and his right hand suddenly waved. A magic missile flew out of his hand. Instantly blow the chandelier to pieces. Hurry up and take me over. His Highness roared again. Tullio quickly stabilized his figure, came to His Highness in a few steps, put one hand on his shoulder, and the two quickly disappeared. In a bleak space. This is the underground monitoring room below the palace. Hundreds of thousands of screens are on at the same time. The figures of His Royal Highness and Turio appeared from here. Take me out the cause of the earthquake. This can't be a natural disaster at all. Tell me what happened outside. His Royal Highness shouted as soon as he appeared. In the room, a huge blue ball of light engraved with arcane inscriptions turned and flickered. Hundreds of different patterns are connected together instantly. Let His Highness and Tullio see clearly. In a huge pit, a strange black gold dragon that they were very familiar with was directly smashing a palace with a paw, then rescued the gift that His Royal Highness received from an imperial nobleman, a female silver dragon. Originally used to trap and lock the dragon, the extremely strong alloy steel, like a slender piece of wood, was completely broken by the black and gold dragon. Then Yinlong raised his lifeless head and looked at the black gold strange dragon with some surprise. The two dragons seemed to say a few words, and the silver dragon's body shrank quickly and turned into a silver-haired female elf, dragged by the black and gold monster dragon. Damn it, it's the dragon. The moment His Royal Highness saw the strange dragon, the memory he had buried for more than 10 years was released. That is a shameful memory he will never forget in his life. After being destroyed by this strange dragon, he spent more than 2 months leaning on Tullio before returning to the Empire. Although there is a space ring along the way, it hasn't reached the point where it's a feast. But there is nothing comparable to the life before. When did Jean Gui's Royal Highness suffer such anger? Blindness at the time made him lose the joy of life. There is also the kind of curse-like poison that tortured him like a tarsal maggot. This is a hatred that cannot be forgotten even in ashes. Tullio, quick, get on it. Kill the dragon. Kill him. His Highness's eyes turned crimson in an instant. Wuxia World, online originally, when he returned to the Empire, he wanted his father to send a large army to search for the black and gold dragon, kill or apprehend him. But the Emperor of the Arcane Empire didn't take his unsatisfactory son at all in his heart. He used to give some resources a little bit and let him fend for himself. Revenge for this waste? Save it. Not only that, but also because of the loss of ships belonging to the Empire. Was banned by His Majesty the Emperor. The first few years made him worse than death, but up to this point, he was about to forget it. But the nightmare appeared in front of him again. Let all his resentment erupt at this moment. Chapter 259. He yelled like a lunatic and wanted Tullio to go out and destroy the dragon. Turio's expression changed immediately. His Royal Highness. The old surrender has served His Highness for decades. That's how your Royal Highness hopes that the veteran will go out and die. This waste prince, I have served you for 20 or 30 years. He is now 70 or 80 years old. Originally fascinated with arcane magic, he is unmarried. Only a while ago I found a favorite. Working hard this time. Are you asking me to die? Bastard. Do you know what will happen if I die? That would be the death of hundreds of millions of people. My son is gone. Grandchildren are gone. Great-grandchildren are gone. Great-great-great-grandsons, endless grandchildren are gone. Can you afford this responsibility? Tullio is angry. Tullio, get it on me. As long as I can kill this dragon, I will let my father reward you with more resources and let you go further on the arcane road. Get it on me. His Royal Highness shouted excitedly. His Royal Highness. Calm down. Tulio really couldn't stand these two things. With a light wave of his right arm, a meditation spell immediately calmed His Highness's heart. His Royal Highness. Don't you know the strength of this strange dragon? At least it is at the level of a demigod. Do you think it is useful for me to go out? Do you really want me to go out and die? The old minister did his best for you. Turio looked at His Royal Highness with red eyes. At this time, His Highness knew he was gagged, and said after a little silence, Tulio, you immediately contact my father. Let him dispatch an army to destroy the dragon. His Royal Highness, the army has arrived. Now we just have to wait. Turio breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, I sighed for myself, following this fool-like master. This day is not ordinary sad. And His Highness looked at the big screen again. At this time, a large number of magic mechas with a height of more than 20 meters to more than 40 meters have flown over. There are tens of thousands of flying saucer golems all over the sky, and the red electronic eyes are charging. A large number of beams hit the monster dragon like raindrops. The strange dragon was overwhelmed by endless firepower. But the next moment, a red golden light burst out of the smoke, dragging the long red golden tail straight into the sky. Damn it! This monster wants to run away. His Highness was a little worried. You can't escape. No matter how fast this monster is, it can't escape the speed golem of the Empire. That is an golem with a speed of more than 2,000 meters per second, one of the greatest inventions of the Empire. Soon, the Empire's Arcane Lieutenant and Arcane Admiral will take the speed golem to catch the monster. Your Highness, you just have to wait quietly. Tulio said as he spoke. One side thought, fool, please don't be silly. We just wait for the news honestly. Let's not keep thinking about going out to die. Okay? A minute ago, after Shillong's arrival, the shock wave caused great damage to the opponent for several kilometers. Only the huge palace in front of her where her mother was held was still standing. Shillong's claws snapped out suddenly. The power of more than 1 million tons instantly smashed the palace. The wall with countless arcane inscriptions shattered instantly, revealed the true content inside. Less than a quarter of the entire wall is intact, and it happens to be tied with a huge silver dragon. Yinlong raised his head weakly when he heard the movement around him. After seeing the dragon, her eyes lighted slightly, and then she said in a little panic, You are Shillong? Why are you here too? Her mind is a little confused. She hasn't completely figured it out yet. Thought Shillong was also caught in. He didn't care too much about Shillong's bigger body. Mom, I'm here to save you. Soon, I will take you back to Dragon Island, and we will live happily as before. Xylem said. His paw twisted and locked Viola. Chain. Mom will turn back to her real body. Let's escape here first. Xylem said again. At this time, it is really not suitable for too much reminiscence. Viola monstrously listened to Soren's words, unconsciously shrank his body, and was placed in his paws by Soren. At this time, some reinforcements from the Arcane Empire had arrived. The entire sky was densely covered with flying saucer golems and magic mechas, and they launched shelling on Shillong from a distance. However, how could Xylem be afraid of such an ordinary attack with no bright spots? After a wave of hard resistance, the red golden light of the dragon wing behind him flashed straight into the sky and disappeared instantly. Almost in the blink of an eye, Shillong burst into the clouds against the wind and began to flee away. Viola, who was caught in the claw's heart, looked at Kama, who was also in the claw's heart, and said a little dazedly, Elder Kama, why are you here too? What is going on? Viola, after Shillong knew that you were caught, he came to rescue you with me. It seems that our initial plan is complete, although there is a big deviation from my expectations. Now we are about to face the pursuit of Thomas Arcane Empire. Kama had a wry smile on her face. Save me, is this being rescued? Suddenly, Viola realized that he seemed to be rescued. Of course, you are free. Kama had a charitable smile on his face. For some reason, Viola's tears burst out. Elder Kama, Richard, he's dead. Dead? Did my father die like this? A voice echoed from Kama and Viola's hearts. It was Shillong's voice. While he was flying, he kept focusing his spirit on the dialogue between the two dragons in his claws. At this time, I finally couldn't help but speak. Yes, Shillong, your father, had his limbs disassembled and his internal organs hollowed out. It became the experimental material of an empire legend. Speaking of this, Viola cried, I rely on the unique ability of sensing between husband and wife Wuxia World online to find him there. At that time, he had been cut into pieces and stored in the basement. When it comes to the end, Viola can't say anything. Viola, sorry. Kama didn't know how to comfort the mother dragon who had lost her husband. In Thomas' arcane empire, this is not a rare accident. I know, but I can't help you, Viola said as she sobbed. Viola, you have to be strong. In addition to Richard, you have Shillong, Armin, and friends on Dragon Island. Think about them. Haven't seen you in nearly 10 years? Armin has grown into a beautiful boy, and you will be very happy to see him then. Kama continued to console. I know. Actually, you shouldn't have come to save me. Now I still want you to be chased by the Empire. At this time, we can't escape at all. Viola worried. Chapter 260, Mom, my speed is the best in the world. Idiots of the Arcane Empire, only worthy of smelling my fart. I will take you out of here soon. Silem's voice sounded again. Pung. Shillong just finished speaking. A beam of light hit Shillong from the side. It doesn't hurt or itchy, like being lightly punched by a newborn child. He looked sideways. I saw more than a dozen golems that looked like rockets shuttled in the space, closely following him. On the side of this rocket golem, there are still holes. There was a blue light shining inside. The azure light beams directed toward Shillong. This made Shillong frown involuntarily. Damn it, Lao Tzu is so fast. How can this group of trash keep up? He was a little frightened. Worthy of being an arcane empire, this alchemy technology really cannot be underestimated. In Shillong's eyes, a stream of golden particles converged. When his pupils were filled with gold, call out. A golden beam cannonball shot out of his eyes instantly. This is not a fusion ray, but the temperature is also not low, at least hundreds of thousands close to 1 million degrees. The powerful kinetic energy and high temperature penetrated a rocket golem at once. Pung. When the rocket golem was penetrated, it burst into a ball of fireworks in the air. This blow made the formations of the other rocket golems somewhat deformed, but they quickly stabilized. The buzzing blue light beam hit Shillong's eyes in succession. Shillong just had a thought, and there was a repulsive force that drew out all the beams. Then he fired another shot from the eye. Call out. The beam particles penetrate a rocket golem. But then the golem did not turn into a spark and exploded. Instead, it turned into a phantom and disappeared. It appeared hundreds of meters behind, and its muzzle kept bombarding Shillong. Shillong and these rocket golems launched a fierce duel in the high-speed world. Because the speed was too fast, Shillong's hit was actually greatly weakened. The difficulty of the other party also exceeded Shillong's expectation, and he suddenly fell into a stalemate. He looked back, and several rockets, slowly followed by hundreds of kilometers away. His heart also became irritable inexplicably. Kill them. An incomparably ethereal voice resounded in Shillong's heart, as far as it was near. Fuck. Why are you stupid again? Silem felt even more annoyed. The evil in the weird world came out again. This guy is more clingy than dog skin plasters. No matter how you burn every cell on your body, it can't be completely eradicated. After a while, come out and brush up on the sense of existence. Kill them, my dear servant. Open your heart, accept my power. Go. Shillong growled. No one could hear the thunderous sound. The speed of all the creatures that shuttled through the void has far surpassed the sound. As soon as Shillong's roar sounded, Shillong and the rocket golem attacking each other were already kilometers away. Cowardly, giant dragon, you are running away? Are you afraid of ants? Ordinary humans. Without me, you can't do anything? The intermittent voice said nonstop, making Shillong extremely irritable. If it is in normal times, he can continue to burn the whole body with flames and eradicate this guy temporarily. But now he was waiting for Kama and Viola in his paws, being chased by someone, so there was no time to take care of this evil god. You dog, I'm going to twist your head down sooner or later. Put it into your chrysanthemum. Shillong growled. Just when Shillong was fighting with several rocket golems around him, a few larger-looking rocket golems followed behind him. These rocket golems bite tightly behind Shillong. A muzzle about 1 meter in diameter in the front began to charge. The inside quickly gathered a large swath of ice blue magic. Driven by extreme speed, a long string of frost was left on the trajectory of the flight. If someone happens to be sailing on the sea, they may find this beautiful strange scene when they look up at the sky. Behind the beautiful red-gold trajectory, followed by bits and pieces of white mist, shining in the sky, as bright as stars. Before long, the white mist stirred the clouds and dropped a series of rain. Silem felt the horror of these white mists from afar, which contained amazing freezing magic. It soon surpassed the 11th level legendary spell in Shillong's recognition. Begin to move towards level 12. In this regard, Shillong wanted to blast the opponent down, but the later rocket golems were more bizarre than the previous ones. Shillong's shot of high-energy particles went down, but it hit the phantom. After another moment, the opponent's white mist finally solidified into a piece, mixed with bullets of infinite ice magic. The bullet of ice magic blasted out in an instant, a portal flashed past, The bullet penetrated into it and disappeared. Pung. When he appeared again, he had already blasted on Shillong. Oh, Shillong screamed in pain, and his body became stiff in an instant. At least dozens of scales were frozen stiff, and wisps of blood slowly leaked from his body. The red gold blood is like the most beautiful red gold diamond. After drifting for thousands of meters in the air, it fell into the sea below. But because the density of blood is too high, it can't blend into the seawater. It looks like a solid body. As it falls into the deep sea, the poison in it continues to spread. Soon, the marine creatures within a few hundred meters of the blood turned up their belly and fell toward the deep sea. Shillong, who was still escaping in the sky, was beaten in pain. The strength of Thomas's arcane empire refreshed his perception once again. He frowned and looked at the other 3 ice cannons that were still charging. Slowly lifted his left paw. Since ordinary tricks are useless, let them try the new tricks I have researched in the past 3 years. The endless gravity began to converge with Shillong's thoughts. An extremely dark black dot appeared from the heart of his claw. Soon, as Shillong continued to inject gravity, this small black spot continued to expand. Click, crack, crack, crack. There was a strange noise in the space near the small black Wuxia world, online as Shillong's high-speed flight. The nearby space was pulled by the small black ball and twisted. All elemental energy is being pulled into it. Soon, when it has the size of a human fist, Zero suddenly flicked the tiny black energy ball in his paw. The energy ball quickly flew to a rocket golem behind left. At the moment of leaving Shillong's claws, the space within a few kilometers of the black sphere was completely distorted, like a spatial vortex, frantically absorbing and pulling everything nearby. The clouds dissipated in an instant. Chapter 261. A rocket golem that bears the brunt is directly dragged into the space vortex. It's like a spatial meat grinder. The entire metal shell of the rocket golem was instantly twisted into twists, attached to the black ball. Kaka kaka kaka, the sound kept ringing. However, within a few seconds, a rocket golem with an arrow of 15 meters long, 3 meters wide, and 3 meters high completely lost its original appearance. Completely attached to the black ball. Let the black ball change from the size of a person's fist to a black sphere with a diameter of 1 meter. And the spatial vortex centered on the black ball never stopped. In addition, there are 5 rocket golems too late to change speed to avoid, and they are pulled over by terrifying gravity. The little black ball is like a hungry monster. In a series of abnormal noises, all the rocket golems were distorted, lost their color and their appearance, leaving only pure black, just like a film, attached to the black ball. For this reason, it becomes a ball with a diameter of nearly 3 meters. The black ball that absorbed the 5 rocket golems did not stop at all. It still swallows everything around frantically, whether it is the element or the air. Within thousands of meters, it has become an absolute vacuum zone. This black ball will hang in the air all the time, absorbing all matter and energy. Until the space to pull it fills up, it will stop until it becomes a huge black ball with a diameter of several kilometers. If there is no accident, it will hang in the air for several years, even decades, and become a strange spectacle. This is a trick that is still not mature. If the other party does not know its shortcomings, this trick will explode in a floating island, and it may be possible to wipe out all the structures and living things on the surface. But its shortcomings are obvious. As long as the kernel is attacked by a one-time attack that cannot be decomposed and absorbed immediately, it can be destroyed if it exceeds its limit. It is not difficult to destroy it, as long as an 11th level legendary spell is enough. It will be terrifying only when everyone has no time to pay attention to it and analyze it. And now, it's obviously when no one cares about it. When a rocket golem capable of launching super ice hockey hits the black ball's gravitational belt at extreme speed, a huge black hole portal appears in front of it. After the entire rocket penetrated inside, it reappeared thousands of meters away, avoiding the terrifying black ball. This made Shillong stared. These rockets that can launch ice hockey are too difficult, right? The ordinary rocket golem was half wiped out by his gravitational ball, or the prototype of a mimic black hole. But none of the ships that can launch ice hockey were killed. In fact, Shillong didn't know that the pilot in the rocket golem that launched the ice hockey was not an ordinary guy, but the demigod arcane mage who came to capture him by the Doma Empire. This golem is also tailor-made for the demigod arcane mage, naturally powerful. The arcanists who saw the power of the black ball were equally surprised, but at this time, they had no time to study this surprising black ball. The first task was to capture Shillong, the stupid dragon who dared to provoke the Empire. That's it. The demigod arcanists manipulated the rocket golems that had escaped a disaster to adjust their positions. Pong. Another hockey puck hit Shillong, sprinkling a string of blood. This is no way to continue. Shillong said inwardly. Kama and Mother must be sent away first. After another shot, his body suddenly dived down. A dozen rocket golems quickly followed up. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Shillong burst into the sea with a dozen rocket golems. Like bombs. Every bomb penetrated into the sea. Because of its extreme speed, it caused a huge explosion, setting off a huge wave tens or hundreds of meters high. Within a few hundred meters, the fish and shrimps that were wandering leisurely were killed instantly. Both sides drilled straight down. Zero and dozens of rockets that attacked him sink all the way. While Shillong was diving, he kept turning on the repulsive force to expel the water. This was to protect Kama and Viola. After all, the pressure of seawater is no joke. Every 10 meters down is equivalent to an additional atmospheric pressure of 101.325 kilopascals, and each atmospheric pressure is equivalent to an object, and each square centimeter of contact surface bears 1 kilogram of weight. After diving for about 5 kilometers, Shillong found that his repulsion shield was not enough. At this time, the pressure is already 500 atmospheres. It is equivalent to bearing a weight of 500 kilograms per square centimeter. What is this concept? Suppose a person is 1.70 meters tall and weighs 70 kilograms. Then his body surface area is about 1.905 square meters. That is 19,050 square centimeters. His body is equivalent to bearing 10 million kilograms, which is 10,000 tons of weight. Under this circumstance, although Shillong's repulsion shield could still support it for a while, he did not dare to allow Kama and Viola to bear the risk of the repulsion shield breaking and being squeezed by the sea. In human form, they can't resist this pressure, and once they become a dragon, facing the few rocket golems outside, the two dragons will undoubtedly die. After a short pause, he was bombarded by another ice hockey puck. After the terrifying air conditioning broke out, the seawater around Shillong was directly frozen for 100 meters. He slightly released the high temperature from his body and melted the ice, then let Kama and Viola hide in his mouth, then continue to dive down. The rocket that had been following hesitated for an instant. This is because there is great terror in the deep sea. This is an area unknown to mortals. Even in the arcane empire of Thomas, no one can discover its mystery. However, some ancient myths have been passed down. Another terrifying world is connected to the deep sea, where an ancient evil is inhabited. It sleeps all the year round, and the unconscious power emanating from sleep assimilate everything. The monsters in the deep sea are its children. Shillong and the rockets are still diving Wuxia World online until 10,000 meters. The pressure here is even more terrifying. It has reached 1,000 atmospheres, but at this time, Shillong's body is resisting, and there is not much feeling. The surrounding area was dark, and the light was completely isolated from here. Even Esalon's eyesight was greatly affected, and he could only see everything within 10,000 meters. The lights on the rocket have long been unable to let the pilot inside see clearly around. They are sensing Shillong in a special way. This method is very effective, at least not allowing them to attack the surrounding terrorist creatures. That's right. There are already some terrifying creatures that are hard to describe in words in the 10,000-meter deep sea. Some of them are very small, and some are close to 30 meters. The horrible and weird looks can even scare mortals who see him crazy. But when they approached Shillong, they were scared crazy, then quickly escape. Do you like this site? Donate here. Chapter 262. The calm of the deep sea has been broken. Shillong has been diving down 20,000 meters, 30,000 meters, 40,000 meters. At this time, the pressure of the seawater is extremely terrifying, reaching 4 tons of gravity per square centimeter, approximately 40,000 tons of gravity per square meter. Shillong's claws are assumed to be 20 to 30 square meters. The power of Shillong's beating is 1 million tons. At that time, the gravity that Zero's body was bearing was already close to his own power to swing his claws and slap himself. This level of strength, even Shillong could not bear it. He stopped quietly in the sea. S vision has been greatly hindered, and can only see things within 5 kilometers. To the northwest of him, a horror and strange 100 meters long wandered quietly. After feeling the waves of the sea, swim quickly toward Shillong. But after approaching a kilometer, Go wandered slowly for some reason. Regardless of the huge size of these monsters and the ability to live under tens of thousands of meters in the deep sea, they think that their strength can rival Xylem. This is far from enough. They can withstand this pressure, which is related to their own race. If they can bear the pressure of the deep sea, these monsters will definitely burst into death. Come down to me and I will give you more strength. The voice of evil in his mind sounded again. Soren heard this, furious, and cursed in his heart. You dog! Do you want Lao Tzu to die? Continue? Lao Tzu can hardly bear the pressure of the sea. The evil thing in his mind was silent. A puff of gray mist floated up from the bottom of the sea and came to surround Shillong, seeming to want to enter his body. This dog thing seems to recognize his own stupidity and directly sends power to me? Siren knew that these gray mists were the power of evil things. It is too late for him to get rid of. So how can he take the initiative to absorb it? Because of Siro's body refusal, these gray mists can only circle around him. There is no way. Accept my power. Accept it. Accept it. The voice in my mind kept ringing again. You dog. I accepted your power. Didn't he soon be rejected by the world? Please shut up. You don't think you're thinking of me? Thinking you're smart? Shillong cursed. The evil thing was silent. Has been chasing down Shillong's ships, stopping at 6 or 7 kilometers above Shillong. Obviously, there is already the limit distance for them to stay. Unwilling to give up, they also attacked Shillong in the sea with various weapons, but no matter what kind of attack, after sinking hundreds of kilometers, they will either directly dissipate or float up because they cannot withstand the pressure of the sea. They have nothing to do with Shiren, but they didn't float back, but stayed there. Seems to be consumed with Shillong. There are some monsters that are close to 80 meters in length wandering around them, but none of these monsters are close to these rocket-like golems. On these golems, ripples are exuding all the time. Seems to have played a role in driving away monsters. 40,000 meters deep in the sea, the pursuit of Shillong and Doma's arcane empire fell into a stalemate. However, Shillong will naturally not sit still. He began to wander around, because he discovered that there were many strange iron blocks floating in the sea. All these are the remnants of the era that cannot be refined. As for why it floats here instead of continuing to sink, it is entirely because the pressure of the sea below is too high, causing the sea to be denser than these iron blocks. This naturally makes the iron block sink, but not sink. It can only float in the sea. Soren began to wander while collecting these iron pieces. He had already thought of a good way. A few kilometers above, inside a rocket golem that can shoot and hurt Shillong ice hockey. In the driving seat here, an old man wearing a blue arcane robe is sitting. He is the general arcane master of Thomas's arcane empire. Is also a demigod archon in the eyes of mortals. In front of him, several small screens were lit. There are 4 other old men who wear similar clothes to him. Are all arcane masters of the demigod level. At this moment, one of the great arcanists said helplessly, "The dragon that provokes us, the dragon that let our 5 middle and admiral arcane magic gods work together, has survived since it attacked the empire. It took nearly 20 minutes. What shame is this? Since ancient times, no provocateur can survive 10 minutes after provoking the empire. This kind of shame will be remembered throughout our lives. After I catch him, I will put his soul into the body of a lizard man and let him live in a humble manner forever," said another arcanist with a thin face. "Damn idiot. He interrupted my experiment," shouted another. "Are we just waiting for him like this? What if you don't wait? The dragon is so strong that it can withstand that level of sea pressure. This is impossible even with the alloys used in our speed golem. I really want to catch him now and study his body. But why is the dragon at 40,000 meters deep in the ocean and is not attacked by the son of the sea god? This is too strange, right? The confusion signal can keep us safe and sound here, but how did the dragon do it? Unimaginable, miraculous life. I am more and more interested in him. Now we can only wait. Under this deep sea, the dragon will never escape our tracking. He will not be able to stand the pressure of this deep sea. We need a little patience." 5 demigod arcane masters are talking. In the deep sea, you can't even open the portal to escape. In the outside sky, Wuxia World, online arcanists can burn the magic circle based on the void. But the deep sea is different. The water pressure here is too strong, and the flowing ocean currents simply cannot save the magic nodes after burning. So they just need to wait quietly, waiting for the dragon to not stand it. But suddenly, they found that the purple signal representing the dragon in the detector started to move. They immediately followed the sky with the rocket golem. About 10 minutes later, the purple signal representing the dragon stopped again. Then after a long wait of half an hour, the purple bright spot representing the dragon suddenly disappeared. What's going on? Why is the dragon missing? The arcane demigods who were calm before were a little surprised. Is that the dragon's arcane accomplishments higher than ours? Has an escape method that we can't even imagine? An arcane demigod asked in disbelief. Impossible. Soon there was a demigod denial. Several arcane demigods, you say a word and I say a word. It is difficult to understand how the other party escaped. Suddenly there was a semi-Shindao. You said that after the dragon moved just now, would it collect some debris and finally splice them together, using it as a stereotype to depict the teleportation array? Chapter 263. It is really impossible to portray in the deep sea, but if there is a fixed drawing board, then let's talk about it differently. Several demigods frowned upon hearing this, and they also realized the problem. This may seem huge. What's this? The 5 lieutenant and admiral level arcane gods of Thomas's arcane empire have been played by a giant dragon like this? A mage said with a sullen face. Yes, we were fooled. It doesn't make any sense to stay here now. Go back, as long as the cause and effect are sorted out, as long as he is still in the main material world, we can make him pay. It really doesn't work. Let the dragon races of the main material realm continue to feel the fear of being dominated by the Empire thousands of years ago. A group of arcane magic gods discussed and returned. With the power of the Doma Arcane Empire, really wanting to deal with a creature that is still in the main material realm, it's easy. At this time, the 15th floor of the Abyss. Soren is indeed as they guessed, relying on pieces of iron plates spliced together, portraying the Abyss portal to the 15th floor of the Abyss he is most familiar with. Glanced at the familiar molten world. Shillong's eyes flashed coldly. He thought of a good way to deal with the people of Thomas' Arcane Empire. Opening his mouth, he spat out Kama and Viola. The two dragons looked at the fiery red world in front of them, both a little confused. Shill, where's this? We are considered safe? You have escaped the Imperial pursuit? Viola asked 3 times. Mom, this is the molten abyss on the 15th floor of the Abyss. We are temporarily safe now. Xylem replied with a smile. The Abyss? Although the Abyss is dangerous, it is indeed much better than being chased by Thomas' Arcane Empire. Kama nodded clearly. Okay, now I will send you 2 back to Dragon Island first. As soon as Xylem said, he drew the circle again. Kama and Viola listened to Silen's words, and they all understood his potential meaning. Aren't you with us? Viola asked. No, I haven't settled with the Arcane Empire yet. Father must not die in their hands for nothing. This frenzied Arcane Empire will eventually pay for it. Soren said. Richard. Viola was silent for a moment when he heard Shillen's words. Shillen, I have already figured it out. We can't do anything about Richard's death, but I don't want you to have an accident. Let's go back. Continue the previous life. Me, you, and Armin together. Revenge or something. Forget it. No, Mom. Even if we give up revenge, will the Doma Arcane Empire let us go? As the strongest empire in the main material world, they are fully capable of coming to us for revenge. The agreement with the gods 1,000 years ago has disappeared. Save. Xylem said. Soren, are you really sure to deal with the Arcane Empire of Thomas? Don't try to be strong. You are still young, and it's not too late to get revenge when you grow up, and we have the blessing of His Majesty Bahamut. Kama said. Teacher Kama, I am indeed still young, but if I continue to grow up, I will have no chance to avenge them. At that time, I could not enter the main material realm. His Majesty Bahamut is a good dragon. I also believe that in times of crisis, he will unite the gods to deal with the Doma Arcane Empire, but this time the cause is different from that of our dragons thousands of years ago. Leave aside how many alliances of the gods can be brought. There are definitely not a few evil gods stabbing a knife in the back. Shillen shook his head. Kama and Viola heard this. Both were a little silent, and Shillong's analysis was correct. The enchantment of the AO restricts the gods and protects the main material world from the threat of the power of gods. Also makes it difficult to limit the rampant generation of the Doma Arcane Empire. Can't be in the main material realm? What does this mean? Viola suddenly remembered Ciro's previous sentence and asked with some confusion. Kama had to explain to Viola again. I didn't expect my child to be so powerful. Mom is proud of you. Don't worry, Teacher Kama and Mother. I can run away in the hands of the Empire before, and I can do the same next time. Shillong said. He seemed confident, but if he couldn't, he just used the power given by Time Dragon. But to be honest, he didn't want to use it, because it would leave him from the main material realm. This separation will say goodbye to the city of tomorrow that he has worked so hard to build, and some familiar people. After all, not everyone is willing to accompany him to leave the main material world. And if you live in the Abyss, ordinary creatures cannot resist the erosion of the Abyss at all, and they will inevitably become an Abyss creature after a few years. This is not what he wants to see. After portraying the portal, Shillong sent the 2 dragons into the portal to Dragon Island. Then he quickly turned into a red-gold streamer and flew to the molten heart of Sulfuron. In just a few minutes, he reached his destination. There is a pothole below, and a huge molten lake in the middle. The trauma of the battle between Shillen and Saffron has never recovered. Opened a huge mouth, Shillong shouted, Saffron, your old friend came to see you. I won't come out to meet you. Boom, the sound is like thunder, rolling away. Boom. The molten core underneath instantly burst out a pillar of fire to the sky, passing by Shillen. Immediately afterwards, a roar rang out, Damn dragon asshole. You have disturbed the great Balrog once again. Sulfuron sleep. A firstborn demon with double horns, a 100-meter-tall flamed giant emerged from the pillar of fire and stayed beside Shillong. Explain what you are here. Dragon. Saffron's voice seemed very impatient and seemed to suppress endless anger. My old friend, you are so irritable. We have been in friendship for 6 years. Wuxia World. Online you talk to me like this. My stomach is going to be hungry again. Shilling grinned. Sneered. Damn bastard. Threatening me again. Go ahead, my friend. Shillen Soderberg. Why are you looking for me? I remember you don't need the spirit demon anymore, right? Saffron pressed down angrily and asked. I still remember the previous 2 years, every period of time. This wanted him to capture the soul demon. Saffron has captured almost 100,000 soul demons in 2 years. Since then, in the sea of consciousness, he will unconsciously think of the soul demon and the memories related to the soul demon. Close your eyes. There seem to be countless soul demons floating in your mind. Of course not. This time, I will invite you to the main material plane and attack a human kingdom with me. Shillong finally explained his intention. Assault the human kingdom on the main material plane? Saffron was stunned. What are you kidding? With my strength, the main material realm simply cannot accommodate me. The weak and small world is fearing the power of the great Balrog king all the time. Chapter 264. Don't worry, I have a temporary devil contract here. As long as you sign it, I can let you temporarily get rid of the repulsion of the power of the world. Shillong said. The temporary devil contract allows Saffron to lean on him. Enjoy the shelter of the time dragon necklace together. You asked me to have such a good thing? Saffron couldn't believe it. He always felt deceitful. Of course, this is the case. Okay, sign it off and call the demon army. Go to the main material plane to kill. There are countless human souls there. Don't want it? Shillong grinned. Human souls, for demons, have always been a rare delicacy, not to mention the delicious taste, but also increase their power. Shillong spit out a devil contract from his mouth. After Saffron took it, he muttered, the waste things made by the devil, I didn't expect it to be useful. I hope you are not lying to me. It took a quick glance, confirmed that there was nothing wrong, and signed his name on it, then began to gather the demon army. As the Abyss Lord, they all have special summoning skills, enough to summon all the demons within 1,000 kilometers. Shillong began to portray the portal he was about to invade, while watching Sulfuron roar up to the sky. This is a silent growl, something like infrasound. Only the devil can receive the message. Soon, the demons of different looks began to gather. The demons around Saffron ranged from hundreds to thousands, to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and finally millions. A large swarm of demons, small but the size of a cat. The larger ones are giants close to 30 meters in size, such as lava giants. They gathered together, all looking up at the front, the huge flame demon with a height of 100 meters. And Shillong also recorded more than 20 portals at this moment, large and small. Just wait for activation. He turned around, looked at the demon army that stretched for more than 10 kilometers, nodded in satisfaction, and slowly flew into the sky. These demons were shocked when they saw Shillong before. The name and posture of the Omen Star of Death in the Shillong Abyss are like thunder on the 15th floor of the Abyss. If Saffron hadn't been on the side, they would have finished running. Dear demons, I'm Silent Soderberg, a good metal dragon that has a good relationship with your lord, Saffron Ragger. Today, we are summoning everyone here to attack a human kingdom on the main material plane. That is an arrogant and stupid human kingdom. There are hundreds of millions of weak humans. Demons. It is time for these weak beings to know what is strong. Go fight them. Go devour them. I open the way to there for you. The portal to the main material plane. Want to devour it? Charge if you want. There are countless unowned human souls waiting to be swallowed by you. Demons. Charge. Shillong roared and waved the huge dragon claw. More than 20 portals below were activated immediately. Exudes a dark light. Like a rotating black hole. The demons in the front had already been moved by Shillong's words, and their hearts were surging. The eyes are red. The nose shook frantically, as if he had smelled the seductive breath of the human soul. In their hearts, the opposite side of the portal is all humans without the power of a chicken. It is the ideal world that they can fish out a large number of souls with a light wave of their hands and a light stomping of their feet. There is an ideal country for the demons. Oh! As Shillong's voice fell, a large number of demons roared and rushed into the portal. The arcane empire of Thomas. The central island, the floating island where Shillong and Kama landed first. A bustling street. Although a chaos broke out here not long ago, after all, the time was too short and the scope of influence was not too large. After the Imperial army was dispatched to drive away the dragon, it didn't take long for the place to restore tranquility. For the citizens of the arcane empire here, as long as the empire dispatches an army, there is nothing that can't be solved. Many hours have passed since the chaos. The dragon that was messing up has been captured by a great arcanist for dissection, or kept as a pet, right? Everyone thinks so. There is nothing to worry about. Everyone returned to their original appearance. People come and go on the streets. In a hurry. Suddenly, more than 20 portals of various sizes were opened. It is not waiting for the residents of the arcane empire to think about it. Strange-looking demons sprang from it. They yelled and glanced at everything around them. People. All of them are people wearing wizard robes. This makes them so excited. They roared, laughed wildly and killed the human beings to the side. A flaming bullhead demon with a height of about 3 meters screamed, picked up an axe, and chopped a somewhat sluggish guy in half, with blood splashing everywhere. The bullhead took a breath at the corpse, and an invisible soul of ordinary people was sucked into his belly. Then he showed an expression of joy and ecstasy. After feeling it for a moment, he picked up his axe and started to chop down another one. Went. Naturally, the other demons are not too much. After a lava dog with a head and shoulders of 10 meters high appeared, both heads began to spew lava. Large numbers of people were directly drenched by magma, falling to the ground and crying bitterly, and they would die soon. There are also small flame snakes. Spit out a very toxic hot liquid from the mouth, and the body of the person after the shower was smoky, tearing his own flesh and blood frantically. The demons fought like wild beasts out of the cage to kill all the living people they saw. Every time they kill one person, they will their souls at the corpse. This is the ultimate killing enjoyment. They like this. The citizens of the Arcane Empire are not vegetarians. All of them are arcanists. The levels are high or low Wuxia World. Online after the initial panic. Rubbing the arcane missiles one by one, they began to return their colors. The ice and snow falling from the sky killed flame demon one after another, freezing their bodies. But these demons are killed here, and the body and soul will quickly disappear. For them, dying on the main material plane is just returning to the abyss, and the price is only a period of weakness. There is no special technique. The devil is immortal in the main material plane. At first, the people of the Arcane Empire could barely resist, but within 2 minutes, with the addition of lava giants, the battle began to shift. Every punch they hit will form a flame-bombing zone hundreds of meters in front of them, bringing a devastating blow to the Arcanists. On the street, whether it is people or buildings, they are as fragile as twigs, and they break when they break. Chapter 265. After a large number of deaths, the Arcanists finally began to flee. Then the demons spoiled in wild laughter, while sucking the human soul. But it didn't take long for them to be proud. The defense of the entire city was unfolded. One by one, the guards drove several meters, tens of meters, or even more than 20 meters of magic mecha. Together, there are flying golems all over the sky. The flame demons were not afraid of these golems, and their flames spewed towards the magic mecha. But it was completely resisted by the defensive cover that came with the mecha. Then these mechas flexibly jumped into the demons. More than a dozen barrels appeared on the body. The ghostly improved arcane shells roared towards the surrounding demons. They started the anti-slaughter. A large number of demons were blasted into pieces and disappeared. Only those lava dogs and lava giants, such super high-level demons, can rival the magic mecha. These high-level demons are like moving natural disasters, with a radius of 1,000 meters, and there is no way for ordinary creatures to survive. The flying saucer golem in the sky is dealing with the flying demons, and the flying saucer golem occupies an absolute advantage. The sky has been covered by endless blue light beams. The flying demons are like flying birds with folded wings, one by one falling from the sky. But within the 20 portals, demons are still being transmitted continuously. In the same way, the Arcane Empire's reinforcements are increasing. The battle has been extended to a radius of tens of kilometers. After a few more minutes, the Arcane Empire gradually suppressed the demons and began to advance in the direction of the portal. Just when you can push to the portal within a minute or two, a petite body with a double-horned fire element moved out of a portal. It took a breath. Although it has no respiratory organs, it is inexplicably happy. I actually came to the main material plane. Is this hundreds of thousands of years ago? I really miss it. At that time, I was just a weak fire element. But now me, already the demon lord on the 15th floor of the abyss. Saffron Regel. Mortals, fear me. Feel the great Balrog lord. Sulfuron's flames. The king of the flame demon roared, and his body instantly returned to its original shape. The huge body of 100 meters high, like a high flame tower, stands out among all the demons. Its huge arms suddenly waved upward. Within a few kilometers, all became red. The ground turned into hot lava, and then it began to erupt. Boom, 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 boom. They are like active volcanoes that are provoked. Pillars of magma spewed out from the ground unexpectedly. In just an instant, thousands of demons and enemy troops were killed indiscriminately. The golem flying in the air was directly exploded and fell in flames. When a magic mecha wielded 2 large swords tens of meters long, the arcane missiles in the chest continued to eject, suppressing a lava giant. The flame demon king slammed a punch far away. The flame meteorite with a diameter of 20 or 30 meters hit the magic mecha with a bang. In an instant, he pierced the protective shield and exploded this magic mecha that might have legendary combat power. Saffron took a breath, and within a few kilometers, thousands of human souls poured into the fiery lava ground and were absorbed by him. Humans, revel in the doomsday. Get ready for the baptism of the King of Fire. Saffron was very excited, and its two huge flame arms bombarded the sky frantically. Hundreds of fire meteorites go straight to the sky every second. Soon the entire cloud layer was dyed fiery red. Then, endless fire meteorites fell from the sky. Ha 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 ha. Saffron laughed wildly, his fists still beating the sky frantically. Every fire meteorite that falls from the sky is several meters in diameter and falls from the clouds. Like a fire that extinguishes the world, it brings destruction to all living things. Saffron's outbreak, within a radius of more than 10 kilometers, was all within its attack range. Fire meteorites fall one by one. Hundreds of them fall in different directions every second. Every falling meteorite can destroy everything within a radius of tens of meters. All human beings, even these proud arcanists, are extremely small in the face of such a natural disaster-level destruction attack. They can only pray that the fire meteor will not land near them. But there are always some special unfortunates that will be destroyed by fire meteorites. In the city, every second, hundreds of unlucky people die. The tall floors continued to collapse, but the collapsed floor killed countless humans. Somewhere in this city, after Master Bob casually killed several demons with an arcane impact, he raised his head and looked at the red sky. The scalp is a little numb. Damn it. How come I encountered so many strange things today? This land under my feet, if I remember correctly, should be the floating city of Thomas's arcane empire? Why do you encounter so many strange things today? First, a strange dragon came to my mage tower and destroyed the mage tower. Will there be another demonic siege? What exactly is going on? Or am I dreaming? He was a little confused. There is also the sky over 10 kilometers around. The meteorite of flames keeps falling. Who can tell me? What happened in the greatest empire in the world? Just as he was thinking about it, a fire meteor had already hit his. Bob quickly hit it with an arcane shock. The faint blue energy column collided with the fire meteorite, and the fire meteorite was blasted into powder with a blast. The reinforcements of the arcane empire. The of Central City. Why haven't they come here yet? Bob kept cursing on one side, and after killing dozens of demons again, he became a little impatient, turned and ran away. Lao Tzu hates fighting and killing. This kind of thing should be left to the in Central City. The Moon Cat on one side looked at each other after tearing up a demon Wuxia World online and quickly followed Bob, away from the battlefield. The citizens of the great arcane empire have no deserters. This is a tactical shifting battlefield. The appearance of the Flame Demon King has only been a minute or two, but even so, there are at least tens of thousands of humans who died in his hands. With the help of Saffron, the demons continued to kill with pain and joy. Happiness is because of Sulfuron's killing efficiency. Some souls that have not had time to be absorbed by the flaming ground are absorbed by them. It is equivalent to picking up the human soul for nothing. And painful, naturally Saffron attacked indiscriminately. He has already killed thousands of demons by mistake. Just when they thought this killing would continue, 5 old arcanists wearing blue robes appeared. Chapter 266. They are just the arcane demigods of the Lieutenant Admiral level who chased Shillong before. Floating quietly in the void, they frowned and looked at Sulfuron standing near the portal, constantly destroying everything. A demigod frowned and said, "This Balrog, if I remember correctly, it should be the 15th floor of the Abyss Lord. Sulfuron? Yes. Damn stupid thing. What the is going on today? Any cats and dogs dare to provoke our Doma Empire?" Another demigod had a gloomy face. "I hate flames. It needs to cool down here," said a demigod. He gently raised his staff. With him as the center, within a 5-kilometer radius, a large ice mist began to be emitted. The cold ice mist collided with the flame field transformed by Saffron. In the sound of thorns, large swaths of rain began to fall. Feel the temperature change in the field. The king of Flame Demon looked up to the sky behind him and saw 5 old men. Rainwater? Was it brought by you ants? I hate rainwater. Die. Insect. The Flame Demon King roared. His fists blasted heavily. Another terrible fire meteor screamed at the 5 old men. One of them had 4 robotic arms attached to his back. A series of pure white extremely frozen rays all point on the roaring fire meteorite. The cold and heat erupted instantly, and the fire meteor lost its power and heat and fell from the air. Insect. The Flame Demon King roared again. Open the huge mouth of flames. Inside was a red patch, and under a brief burst of light, a lava fire column suddenly shot at the old man with a mechanical arm. The old man originally wanted to freeze the pillar of fire with freezing rays, but found that it was useless. His ray was like a small piece of ice thrown into a lava lake, instantly melted. The pillar of fire came surging, and the waves of fire were overwhelming. Seeing that the pillar of fire was about to hit the old man with the robotic arm, the old man calmly used his staff to point in front of him. A huge portal suddenly opened in front of him, and the entire pillar of fire was absorbed in. Then another portal appeared above a certain demon. A huge pillar of fire descended from the sky, instantly burning this unlucky demon to ashes. A boring little trick. The Flame King's eyes were fierce. With his head shifted slightly, he let the pillar of fire leave the portal and swept towards the other old men. The other old men were a flicker, appearing behind the old man in the robotic arm. Let the fire pillar of the Balrog King return without success. Damn it! It hates that its own flame cannot cause killing and destruction. Just when it was about to turn its head and bombard the human ants on the ground to cause the necessary killing, all the 5 old men shot. One of them faced the Balrog King with his palm, and the huge gravity made the Balrog King's body sink more than 10 meters, stiffening in place. Several other demigod arcanists used the spells of the ice and water systems to besiege Sulfuron. For a while, the flood was overwhelming all around the king of the flame demon, and the ice mist was everywhere. Saffron was very aggrieved. It couldn't beat these 5 old men at all. Every time the power of the flame is used, 2 old men will use the power of frost to completely offset its flame power. Then the other 3 bound it one by one and attacked it one by one. There is also a star to clean up Devil Trash Fish. Thinking of him, Saffron, among the demigods, also has a name and a surname. Has he ever been bullied by a trash human demigod? If it is an ordinary demigod, Saffron thinks that playing 3 or 4 is not a problem, and playing 5 will not be disadvantaged. But the human demigods in front of them have superior combat power. Not only do they have their own strength, their equipment also adds extremely powerful combat power to them. Saffron found that if there were only 2, he might still have a chance to win. But facing 4? That's a complete death. At this point, the demon army that had just been arrogant for less than 10 minutes was completely suppressed. Doma's arcane empire has completely smashed the demon army. 2 portals were quickly destroyed. Xylem, who was still maintaining the portal inside, saw that something was wrong and quickly got into one of them. Come to the other side of the portal. Shillong watched the demon army be defeated, and Saffron, who was given high hopes by him, was continuously beaten by 5 old men in the battle. After being unable to do anything except the angry roar, his heart was a little heavy. Shillong, my friend, come and save me. Saffron felt Shillong's breath very sensitively and snorted immediately. Its originally extremely hot body was covered with a thick layer of frost, which never dissipated. Okay. The demigod arcanist who was besieging Sulfuron together listened to Sulfuron's cry and also noticed Sulfur. It's the dragon. He didn't escape. He's back again. The devil is in the same group with him. An arcane demigod said, the 3 of us will drag the dragon in the past. Bri, you inform your majesty and let him come together. This dragon is an unseen species and is of great research value. I believe your majesty will be interested. An arcane demigod said. He flew to Shillong quickly, waving his hands. Endless ice spears condensed from the void and plunged towards the dragon, and Shillong just shook his body slightly, and a layer of flame impact erupted from his body, shattered all the ice spears instantly, together with all the portals nearby, as well as some hapless demons and arcane empire troops. The flame shock rushed straight at the flying 3 half-god arcanists. Humph! One of them snorted coldly. Dissociation. A layer of black unknown element instantly covered the flame shock wave. Soon the flame impact dissipated like a breeze. Seeing this, Shillong frowned slightly. No words. He opened his huge mouth, and thousands of red gold streamers spurted out of his mouth. Suddenly, the fanhwa is gorgeous and colorful, but terrifying. Thousands of streams of light spewed out of his mouth every second, and every stream of light could bring death to the enemy. Shillong is 160 degrees straight ahead, and the range of about 10 kilometers is completely covered, turning into a world of streamers. The roar and explosion have become the only ones in the world. Every stream of light that falls on the ground will explode, creating a small hole about 1 meter in diameter. A large number of arcanists who were besieging the devil were melted into juice without even reacting. There are also a large number of people who want to use enchantment protection, but find that the usually complacent defense enchantment is as fragile as paper. After neutralizing one streamer, they will be hit by the next streamer and take their lives directly. Shillong sprayed in place for 10 seconds. At least tens of thousands of people died. While spitting, his body was also blooming with pure white radiant white light and gray mist. The radiant white light and gray fog are enough to radiate all the enemies around 10 kilometers. Those citizens of the arcane empire hiding 10 kilometers away. I soon discovered my anomaly. But after all, they are not ordinary mortals, but arcanists who have mastered arcane power. More or less mastered a lot of practical arcane arts. After feeling the physical abnormality, he immediately began to save himself, and if he felt weak, he immediately cast expelling spells. The arcanists, who were infected by the gray mist and distorted their worldview, fell into a frenzy because of their spirits, and most of them even lost the ability to cast spells. In this case, the threat is greatly reduced. It was quickly stopped by others using arcane magic. Just when Shillong was devastating, the foot sank suddenly, and then a strong force came. Boom. Shillong sprayed straight and fell to the ground face down. The ground underneath was blasted by a streamer into a huge crater tens of meters deep. Damn it. Part 2. He had to stop spraying. Turning his head to look at his feet while cursing inwardly, he found that his feet were locked by dozens of pure black chains. Pulling hard with both feet, the chain was pulled straight, but it couldn't be broken. Dragon, you can't break the lock of the gods, said an arcane demigod floating in the air, looking at the struggling Shillong. Idiot, don't use your ignorance to apply to me. Synopsis sneered. Not at all, Heart. He has invincible flame power besides brute force. A large amount of smoke appeared in the body, under the puzzled gaze of the demigod mage. His body has become a huge red gold sphere with a diameter of nearly 1 kilometer. A million-degree high-temperature outbreak. Everything under and around him turned into a pool of lava. Several demigods who were in a quiet distance, their bodies flashed and quickly moved away. Then they found that the god-binding lock that bound the dragon's feet suddenly turned red, as if it was about to fuse. Not good, a demigod arcanist exclaimed, and quickly put away the god-binding lock. But the front end of the chain has been melted a bit. My god-binding lock. This demigod was a little bit eager to cry without tears. Soren, you bastard. Play slowly. This king won't be with you anymore. Enjoy the human souls everywhere. The Flame Demon King took this opportunity and didn't think of attacking the arcane demigods for revenge. He can be regarded as understanding the strength of the opponent, and to deal with this kind of enemy, if there is no way to deal with the abyssal creatures, he will absolutely not believe it. Shillong, this thing, what he said in the abyss before was so tempting. All were deceiving. They were sent here as cannon fodder. To be safe, he chose to escape after another wave of flames broke out and forced the arcane demigod back. The body rotated and disappeared. Damn it. In the center of the million-degree hot sun, Shillong could still hear Saffron's roar and see the grandson's actions. He didn't expect this waste to run so fast. Lao Tzu came to rescue you out of love. Are you still running? Synopsis turned his head and glanced again at several demigod arcane mages who were several kilometers away, avoiding the heat. He knew that with these 5 guys, he would definitely not be able to fight, not to mention that the entire empire must have more than that. He had a hunch, but he didn't want to put Doma Arcane Empire in such a simple way. Boom. At the moment when the red golden sun disappeared, Shillong dashed towards the sky. Damn, this dragon wants to run again. The 5 arcane demigods looked irritated. The space ring in their hands flashed, and a rocket golem appeared beside them, followed by a flash of arcanists and disappeared in place. 5 rocket golems swished towards the sky. 1 dragon and 5 golems, 1 escape and 1 chase, quickly break through the atmosphere. An ice hockey puck with endless ice passed through the portal and blasted straight toward Shillong. But at this time, Synopsis was not afraid at all. His whole body was already red, and the scales of his body had changed from black to red gold. Endless heat radiated from his body. Just around him, there are thousands of degrees of terrifying heat. The closer you are, the higher the temperature. Because of this relationship, Arcanist and the rocket golem will be much more difficult to locate the portal, and they cannot get too close. This caused Shillong to have enough time to avoid the puck. He can even turn his head and spray thousands of flames. But these are useless offenses, and the difficulty of both sides has their own hearts. Straight through the atmosphere, Shillong originally wanted to grow mushrooms on the floating island, but now thinking about it carefully, it seems that there is no such opportunity at all. Nuclear Calming Breath is a small super high-grade flame energy ball. In the process of the downward boom, these difficult arcanists will definitely use their ultra-fast and ultra-precise space doors to cut off. Only the continuous breathing of the 3-phase breath could break through the blockade of these arcanists, but Shillong did not dare to use it, and the problem was that it consumed too much energy. Even if you don't use your full strength, your body's functions will decrease a lot after using it. Don't even want to escape if you really want to escape. The 2 sides held back for a while, and Shillong found that the top of its head suddenly went dark. Wait for him to have other reactions. Boom. In extreme speed, he slammed into the shadow above his head. Oh, Shillong roared. A full hit, if it was broken, Shillong would not take any damage. But if it doesn't break, it's the same as a mortal hitting an iron block with his head, and the consequences are disastrous. At this time, Shillong directly hit his head. He rolled in the air a few times before his mind regained his clarity. He found himself besides being surrounded by 5 demigod rocket golems. He was surrounded by dozens of giant magic mechas with a height of more than 40 meters in all directions. There are also several arcanists whose bodies are surrounded by the azure arcane brilliance. Needless to say, Shillong can be sure that he is a demigod based on his feelings. There are so many demigods in this Doma Empire. How did they make these demigods stay in the main material realm? Look up slightly. Yu reading www.yuukeungshu.com. Above him is a huge sky fortress with a length of kilometers. The entire metal body is engraved with arcane inscriptions. Shillong was below the fort and saw a pit that was slowly healing. Needless to say, he must have just hit it out. And behind the fort, there are dozens of circles of different colors. The radiance of the azure arcane was so strong that half of the sky changed color. Lizard, you really surprised the deity. A magnificent voice came down from the fortress, and it reached Shillong's ears clearly. This made Shillong's eyes shrink into needles. He wanted to see everything above, but was completely blocked by the fortress. Lizard, do you want to admire the face of the deity? The deity is accurate. This is a gift to you before death. The voice above the fortress seemed to fully understand Shillong's intentions. Chapter 267. After he finished speaking, the entire fortress began to descend, and soon was at the same level as Shillong. Let Shillong be able to see who dared to speak wild words in front of him. At the top of the fortress, there was a throne full of blue arcane splendor, and sitting on it was not a human being, but a monster. Its whole body is made of gems and machinery, like an octopus. The huge head shell is completely transparent, like glass, allowing people to see everything inside. Its brain, which is white as intestines, is also engraved with arcane inscriptions. This is a monster through and through. Shillong's eyes showed a little strange color. Lizard, are you shocked by my perfect body? This is the most perfect masterpiece of the Arcane Empire. With it, I can cast all the spells recorded in the Arcane Empire in an instant. It gives me power far beyond the demigod. Only the greatest Arcane Emperor deserves such a body. The mechanical monster said to Shillong contentedly. It is the Emperor of the Arcane Empire. A life that has completely turned into a monster. After all, isn't it still a waste who dare not enter the star realm? Shillong would not be surprised. You who are afraid of the gods of the stars are not qualified to speak big words in front of me. Beyond the demigods? So what? Shillong sneered. The mechanical monster was silent for a moment. The ignorant dragon has no value in living. Hum with the voice of the mechanical monster falling. One of its octopus arms point towards Shillong, and the surrounding space is roaring. There seemed to be a huge force blasting towards Shillong. Want to crush Shillong into meatloaf? Damn you, and the entire Doma Empire. The game is over. Now is the real start of the battle. Shillong roared. A drop of blood that had been buried in his body shattered. Wow. Suddenly, he noticed a loud dragon roar. The sound was like a terrible shock wave, directly blasting away the invisible power of the mechanical monster, then blasted above the sky fortress. The fortress that was originally enough to withstand Shillong's full impact without moving, unexpectedly began to shake. The 40-meter-high magic mech in the distance can fight the legend, and the blue protective shield used for defense bursts directly. The blue arcane sparks flickered between the bodies, and several arcane particles on the control inscription were shattered, lost control, and fell straight from the air. The rocket golem and the demigod Arcanus were even more under this roar. Back 10 kilometers. Warning, warning, super high energy reaction ahead. Level, unknown, danger, extremely fatal, exceeding the detection limit. It is recommended to stay away. It is recommended to stay away. Danger, danger, danger. The sky fortress under the Arcane Emperor is like a small boat in the waves, bumping in the air, and red lights that represent danger are constantly flashing. As the crystalline fortress of the Arcane Empire, it has excellent detection capabilities. Dangerous? Extremely deadly? The blue arcane light flashed on the Arcane Emperor's brain in the glass cover. It is somewhat unable to understand the meaning of these words. Only god-level power can make the Sky Fortress issue such a warning. In the main material world, obviously, it is impossible for a creature with god-level power to exist. Although he claims to surpass the demigod, it does not mean that he has the power of a god. To a large extent, it's just its own mouth high. It can even be said that it is far from the gods. How could there be such a creature under the barrier of the creation AO? It couldn't understand, but soon it began to understand slowly. Because of the dragon in front of him, his body began to change beyond his imagination. The dragon's body seemed to be inflated, and its flesh and blood swelled irregularly. Its size is constantly expanding. The body length has changed from more than 100 meters to 200 meters, 500 meters, and finally closer to a kilometer. His slowly floating body, and the huge dragon wings that were fully unfolded, almost covered the sky fortress where the Arcane Emperor was located. With every breath, the airflow spit out will instantly form a hurricane of dozens of levels. The pair of eyes on the huge head are almost as tall as the magic mecha. The stream of golden particles gathered in the eyes is even more scorching than the noon sun. The chest and abdomen are red, and with the dragon's breathing, the light is indefinite, and the energy reaction inside makes everyone scared. Since the emergence of the giant dragon, all the elements, particles, radiation, and gas in the atmosphere within 100 kilometers have all gathered together to form a heterochromatic ring, which revolves around the giant dragon. The Emperor of the Arcane Empire and the arcane demigods just took a look and felt that there seemed to be infinite truth and mystery here. Let them, who are thirst for knowledge, sink into it unconsciously. Alarm, alarm, danger, danger. Evacuation recommended. Evacuation recommended. The Sky Fortress is still screaming. Ant, tell me now, who is the most perfect masterpiece in this world? Xylem spoke, a huge voice blowing like spring thunder in his ears. Instantly awakened the arcane demigods intoxicated in the circle around him. Lizard, don't think that if your body becomes bigger, you can be disrespectful to the greatest arcane emperor. The mechanical octopus-like arcane emperor still did not show weakness. It doesn't seem to believe that living beings can reach the level in the main material realm. It is convinced that it is the most perfect life in the main material world. On the Sky Fortress, hundreds of giant cannons all shot bright beams in an instant. The arcane emperor's brain door flashed with blue light. The power of the million-ton class is pressing down on the dragon. But the dragon just swung its claws gently to wipe out the breeze-like power. This is impossible. The arcane emperor was silent. The arcane demigod screamed in the distance. Everyone knows the power of the arcane emperor and the power of the fortress Shillong. It can be said that the arcane emperor alone, plus the fortress, can fight against 6 or 7 arcane demigods. Is it this kind of power that was gently swept away by the dragon in front of you? Shillong has the power to grow normally after 1,000 years. I don't know how strong I am now. He just feels the endless power in his body. If he faces the previous self again, he can pinch the previous self to death with a light pinch of the dragon claw. The enemy who felt tricky before in his eyes does not seem to be any different from the ants. With a light movement of mind, within 100 kilometers, infinite suction suddenly appeared, pulling everything towards the dragon whose body length was close to 1,000 meters. Some demigod wizards struggled to use spells, and suddenly they realized that there was no magic resonance around them. They seemed to have entered a forbidden area, and they could only helplessly slam into the dragon with the suction. The first to bear the brunt is the Sky Fortress of the Arcane Emperor. I slammed straight into a claw extending from Shillong. The original indestructible aerial fortress, like cotton, has gradually changed from a horizontal rectangular fortress to a vertical rectangle. Alert! Alarm! The Sky Fortress is under attack. The attack intensity cannot be estimated. Click after the steel was squeezed. There was a series of harsh sounds. The length of kilometer was quickly reduced by more than half. Damn! I am the Emperor of the Arcane Empire. How could I lose to a lizard? This is impossible. The Arcane Emperor, who was pressed on the Sky Fortress by a huge force of gravity, roared. His entire body is inlaid on the throne below him. Watching the Sky Fortress being squeezed, the dragon stretched out 2 dragon claws, grabbed the 2 ends of the Sky Fortress, and began to exert force. Part 2. The incalculable power may be more than tens of billions. Hundreds of billions of tons of power has completely erupted. The iron block that had been pressed to the limit was squeezed and deformed again. The Emperor of the Arcane Empire could only watch everything around him shrink, and then began to squeeze himself. Originally enough to withstand tens of millions of tons of gravity, the body of the crystalline wisdom of the Arcane Empire began to break like a fragile wooden product. A series of arcane sparks flickered. Soon its brain seeds, followed by the outside glass cover, all cracked. Its screaming sound couldn't spread at all, and its consciousness began to fade. The toad arcane demigods and rocket golems, magic mechas, after being attracted by gravitational forces, directly hit the scales of the dragon like a steel barrier at several times the speed of sound. The arcane demigod who had lost the arcane defense turned directly into a pancake, only to come out with a short exclamation and die like a humble ant. Then the skin and flesh are gradually vaporized at the high temperature that comes with the scales. The pilots in the magic mecha were originally powerful arcanists. There is also a specially equipped escape spell. But now, the arcanists discovered that the spell had failed. They can only watch everything around them shrink and squeeze them to death. The magic mecha and the rocket golem finally turned into a long and flat iron sheet, inlaid on the scales of the dragon. It looks like a huge mural. At this time, after Shillong deformed, 10 seconds passed. The time given by the Time Dragon necklace has 45 seconds left, but it is only 20 seconds that can stay on the plane of the main matter. Here, Xylem had to praise the Time Dragon. This necklace finally did not cheat because of the use of 1,000-year power to continue to reduce time. All the chasing soldiers have been cleared. Next is the time to destroy the entire empire. Shillong's gaze penetrated through layers of obstacles, staring directly at dozens of floating islands nearly 1,000 kilometers below. Time is limited. Must destroy everything in one blow. Welcome to destruction. Feel the despair. The dirty Dorma Empire. Your end is here. Shillong's dragon wings were fully extended to both sides, and a dazzling golden light burst out from the flickering belly. Around the body, a ring formed by various elements, gases, and radiation began to spin quickly. After taking a deep breath, two flames tens of kilometers long appeared behind Synopsis. The raised head was facing the central island of the Arcane Empire, and suddenly opened. A crimson gold torrent tens of meters thick, with the power to tear everything, rushed downward. In its surroundings, dozens of kilometers have been dyed in the color of red gold. Just about 2 or 3 seconds. The Qijin torrent spans a distance of nearly 1,000 kilometers. Some arcane masters wandering the streets on the island, as well as the dignitaries, only saw the sky change color. When they raised their heads, they just saw a torrent of red gold coming from the sky. When they were still thinking about what it was and why it fell from the sky, a huge pure white fireball exploded in an instant. Did not leave enough time for anyone to think. The high-temperature flame of hundreds of millions of degrees swept everything, engulfing the entire central island. Everything on the island was vaporized in a flash. After the huge white ball of light appeared, a terrible roar sounded. Immediately after a shock wave of terrifying to the extreme flame and storm mixed, it swept everything around with a posture of extinction. It surpasses the speed of sound, savagely pushing in all directions. The nearby floating island faced this terrible shock wave for the first time. All the buildings, mud and rocks, broke apart at the moment they were swept, broken down into messy debris, mixed in the shock wave. From a distance, the shock wave is like the palm of a giant, tens of thousands of meters long and thousands of meters wide, crushing everything with a brutal posture, crushing a huge sand sculpture. The citizens of the Arcane Empire on the island screamed with horror as they watched this huge wave like a disaster. The original human and animal breeding creatures, including the domesticated and undomesticated dragons, left only instinctive panic and began to flee desperately. The scene was full of chaos. The alien beasts, humans and animals, who originally had a grudge against the citizens of the Arcane Empire, turned their heads and attacked the arcane wizards directly after finding that they had no hope of escape. There are also arcane wizards. They hide directly in some places that they think are safe. In some defensive refuges, refuge centers that should be able to give everyone a safe place are as fragile as shredded paper when faced with shock waves. Then, under everyone's desperate eyes, drown them. And how can those who choose to escape the supersonic shockwave? In the end, they could only be overtaken by the giant palm. In the panic, their bodies instantly disintegrated into broken foam and dissipated into the world. The rumbling sound resounded across the sky and the destroyed islands. Many powerful and intelligent people ran directly to the edge of the island, jumped from the floating city, and jumped straight into the sea several kilometers below. They want to use the sea to resist shock waves. I have to say that this is definitely a smart choice. For them with extraordinary powers, there are ways to slow down when they are near the sea, or use flying spells to make themselves fall into the sea safely. But soon, they discovered that entering the sea is not so easy to avoid the disaster. The terrible shock soon came to the sea. The originally calm sea suddenly went into raging. It was slammed by the shock wave close to a kilometer. Some humans who didn't hide deep enough, as well as the swimming fish, were instantly shocked to death by the terrible shock, propelled by the shock wave, and started to sweep everything. The sea surface was set off by waves thousands of meters high. The impact of the destruction of the world has been spreading, and soon, thousands of kilometers from the center. But while the shock wave destroyed everything within thousands of kilometers, it had no intention to stop at all, and his strength did not even weaken too much. It is still spreading like crazy. Most of the volcanoes on isolated islands disappeared after being swept by the shock wave, but the remaining remains began to roar. Soon, volcanoes began to erupt lava. The whole world is like the end. The shock wave was spreading. 2,000 kilometers, 3,000 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers, 10,000 kilometers. Within 5,000 kilometers, all the resource areas originally belonged to the Doma Arcane Empire had already been mined incomparably barren. Even living creatures are much less. But after 10,000 kilometers, the shock wave has swept across a piece of sea and went straight to a piece of land. The power of the shock wave at this time has been greatly reduced, but for ordinary people, it is still terrifying. Some seamen who originally wandered on the seashore still thought about going out to catch some fish, but far away, separated by dozens or hundreds of kilometers, they found the extremely abnormal wave. But because it was too far away, the fishermen didn't pay too much attention at the beginning, they just watched curiously. But the beasts in the small town and beyond, Some jungle monsters felt sensitively. They began to panic, roaring one after another. The humans in the small town are unknown, and some disliked it as being too noisy, so they directly beat up cats and dogs and other pets. But these little pets, who usually run away after being beaten, are blown up. They either used their claws or bit the human who attacked them with their mouths. Then he roared and turned his head and ran. But there are also loyal ones. They whimpered in horror, dragging their master's collar, trying to escape. But where can the masters understand their intentions? Waving his hand casually, he continued his previous work. Part 3. As time went on, the shock wave got closer and closer, until a dozen kilometers away, the fishermen near the sea discovered that the terrible wave was 1,000 meters high. Someone screamed with extreme horror and fled frantically. Fear spreads like a plague. Soon people in the entire coastal town and mountain went crazy. They either cried or screamed like headless flies running around 4 times, trying to avoid the disaster of this day. But there are also some who are slightly knowledgeable. After seeing this wave, they took a deep breath. They feel that their hands and feet are cold and numb, and their hearts seem to stop beating. They know that there is no need to escape or something. Everyone will die. No one can be an exception. Is this a catastrophe that the gods brought down because of their anger? When the shock wave swept through, everything in the town, houses turned into pieces of wood, mixed in the impact. The human screamed and was torn into pieces. All disappeared. The terrible impact is like the merciless of death, harvesting all lives. The trees in the forest are all uprooted. The shock wave is still spreading, and the woods and hills can reduce the power of the shock. But this time the impact is too strong. Swept town after town, 12,000 kilometers, 15,000 kilometers. Up to this time, the wave formed by the shock wave has been greatly reduced again, only tens of meters high. Some unfortunately involved in it with a little strength, all have a chance to survive. The entire impact did not stop until 17,000 kilometers. But the terrible heat radiation never stopped. The terrifying high temperature still burns all living things within hundreds of kilometers. The gray mushroom cloud in the center has completely broken through the atmosphere. A large amount of terror energy shoots through the atmosphere into space in the form of gamma rays. The sky within a radius of 20,000 kilometers is gray and gray. Even if the people living below do not die directly, if they fail to evacuate quickly, they will eventually die slowly in endless ignorance and pain. This seems to have become a restricted zone of life. Many gods have already noticed this huge disaster. They were shocked when they saw this kind of destructive attack in the star realm Wuxia world. Online this nuclear explosion. Although they were lucky, the Arcane Empire exploding on the floating island in the sky, eliminated the hatred of many gods. Except for the Doma Arcane Empire within thousands of kilometers, there are basically no living things. But the scope is too wide. A lot of innocent people have been affected. The gods estimate that at least 5 or 6 billion innocent lives have been affected, and at least 200 million of them have died. There are still 2 to 3 billion, and it may not be long before they will die from various highly toxic radiation. The ones who really survived may be less than 50 or 60 million. What a terrifying destruction is this? Let the gods involuntarily open the memory that has been sealed in dust. The horrible extinction legend about the plutonium dragon. Chapter 268. The Arcane Empire of Thomas was completely destroyed. Dozens of floating cities are not spared. The most central floating city is the direct target of the 3-phase breath. This floating island with a surface area of at least 10,000 to 20,000 square kilometers was hit by the most direct nuclear explosion, swallowed by a fireball of hundreds of millions of degrees. If you don't escape early, no one or anything can survive. Everything is reduced to nothingness. And other floating islands, although many people survived. But these are no longer the core personnel of Thomas's Arcane Empire. The core information and personnel of the Arcane Empire were all killed, and the Arcane Empire of Thomas was already destroyed. And Shillong didn't have time to watch the extinction fireworks he had caused. With only 30 seconds of retention time, after he breathed out the 3-phase breath, he had already used dragon claws to tear the void. You don't even need to burn the magic circle, and you get directly into a certain place leading to the abyss. 15 layers of the abyss. Molten heart. Shillong appeared directly from here. He had no idea how much damage his 3-phase breath had caused to the main material world. How many innocent people have been eliminated? The reason is very simple. At that time, he only had one thought, that is, in a short 30 seconds, the Doma Arcane Empire must be destroyed. If there is no destruction, the dragons of the main material world will definitely be hunted down by the Arcane Empire of Thomas. This is something he doesn't want to see. So he used a lot of energy in his body to attack, and he didn't have a bottom line about how much it was. In fact, he knew at the time that there were basically no living things inhabited within 5 or 6,000 kilometers of the Doma Arcane Empire. And Shillong never considered how powerful his 3-phase breath was. After all, The nuclear explosion is not your 20 million equivalent power, equal to 2 to 10 million. The higher the equivalent, the more serious the overlap inside. The extinct meteorite called the dinosaur killer in the previous life is equivalent to 140 trillion tons. Nuclear bombs of this level can wipe out ancient dinosaurs, but they can never wipe out humans in modern society. For the Earth, it's just tickling. All stars, planets, and other celestial bodies are miracles of the universe. Shillong didn't even think that his breath power could be compared with that of dinosaur killer, so he didn't care and did his best. So it caused such serious consequences as it is now. With Shillong descending on the molten heart, the magma within a radius of tens of kilometers, as well as the surrounding fire elements, air and other elemental gases, were all pulled by unknown forces and surrounded Shillong, melt into the huge circle before, making the circle sparkle with fire. The magma in the molten core has been greatly reduced, acting as the flame demon inhabiting it. Suffren felt it right away. He uttered an extremely angry roar. Who is it? Dare to provoke the majesty of the Balrog King. Ignorant reptiles will be reduced to ashes. With a rumbling sound, dozens of magma pillars suddenly rose in the heart of molten fire. A flame demon with a height of 100 meters slowly rises from the magma lake, then opened his eyes full of anger. The eyes of the Flame King looked straight ahead, his expression instantly frozen. The flame of the body is slightly dim. The swirling flame vortex under him also stopped spinning. You, Suffren stammered, and suddenly his head flashed after a while. Hello, are you the elder of Shillong Soderbergh? I'm Saffron Regel, Shillong's best friend. Nice to meet you, the great dragon. Saffron's voice was a little flattering, two huge flame palms intertwined. To be honest, it is very nervous now. This is, of course, whoever sees a head over 400 meters high in front of his house. Dragons that are close to a kilometer in length will be nervous. The huge shadow directly blocked Saffron, who was 100 meters tall. In front of this giant dragon, Suffren and a little milk cat are no different. Saffron, why don't you even know me? In other words, what you ran just now was really fast enough. Shillong spoke slowly. The loud sound shook the molten core under Sulfuron into a wave of fire tens of meters high. Sulfuron looked astonished when he heard Shillong's words. Are you Shillong? But soon, it changed color again. My dearest, best friend, Shillong Soderbergh, I am relieved to see you safe and sound. I am very sorry for the previous escape. After all, I have already used all my strength, but the enemy is too strong to have to run. After returning to the abyss, you can't imagine how sad I am. I have abandoned my best friend. This kind of torture from the soul is like putting me in the permafrost for 100,000 years. But fortunately the abyss has eyes. It made me see you again. Let our best friends meet. This is my happiest thing for Saffron in these hundreds of thousands of years. Thank the abyss. Saffron spoke with a touch of emotion, but he was cursing in his heart. This stuff, it's so big, just this size, just this power, a proper level. With this power, you can do it early. Why did this king be besieged? Those arcanists are so strong. My dear friend, I am very pleased that you can think so. Shillong grinned and slapped Suffren's body with a smile. Result with Ping's cry, Suffren's whole body burst out. The magma that made up the body splashed into the surrounding molten hearts. A blast of hot wind rolled up. The scattered lava gathered again, and the fiery red complexion of the Balrog King seemed to be much darker. Sorry, confiscated strength. I don't know you are so fragile. Shillong apologized. No, it's okay. It's okay to know next time, Saffron muttered. I'd better reduce it a bit. It's too big for communication. As Shillong spoke, the power of the Time Dragon necklace was just in time. He felt the necklace shatter in the storage space in his stomach. The body began to shrink, but instead of returning to its previous height of 50 meters, it became 7 to 80 meters in height, with a body length of about 160 meters. The strength has shrunk sharply, and this gap makes him a little uncomfortable. But soon, he found that he was not looking up at Suffren as much as before. This makes him a little strange, and his current power is much stronger than not using the 1,000-year power. But he didn't show it right away, but smiled. My dear friend, I hope I will ask you for help next time, but don't run so fast. Of course. Next time, I will let the world know the power of my Saffron, the king of Flame Demon. Shillong then talked a few words with Saffron and bid him farewell. Then he used a mirror spell, looked at himself, and found an anomaly. It is indeed much higher than the previous self. What is this? Are there any side effects or benefits of using the necklace with the power of Time Dragon? Shillong didn't understand either. He felt that his body should have been accelerated for decades. It has been promoted by spoiling the seedlings, and this situation can be mixed. If it is a short-born species, it will lose several decades of lifespan at once, and by this time it is already dead. But he didn't know the lifespan of Shillong himself. As a longevity species with a lifespan far surpassing that of an ordinary dragon, he would not care about a few decades. And this immediate growth strength made him feel like he was making a lot of money. Of course, if the growth of these fueled decades is normal, Shillong will certainly be stronger than it is now. But his lifespan is too long and it is wasted. I really want Time Dragon to come over and give him a few more. It's a pity that this is completely because Shillong has thought too much, and Time Dragon is unable to give him the power of 1,000 years again. Turn yourself directly into an adult state. Part 2. Came to the Molten Heart more than 10 kilometers away. He recarved the portal to Dragon Island. I want to try to see if I can enter. But he just stepped into the portal. I felt that there seemed to be a wall in front that he could not step in anyway. Then he wanted to invade violently and rush into it at an accelerated speed. But in the end, he bounced himself a kilometer. Then the portal was forcibly closed. I think the dragon on Dragon Island discovered this portal of unknown origin and forcibly closed it. In this situation, Shillong could not even open the portal on the spot next time. But he soon thought of a way. After the reportrait, he did not activate immediately. Instead, a smarter flame fox was found. The small thing is 3 meters long and the size of a tiger. After being pinched in his paws by Shillong, he fainted several times. A little courageous, Shillong blessed it twice with spiritual resistance in order to communicate normally. He let this little thing enter Dragon Island and bring him a word. The little thing didn't dare to resist and could only step into the portal with the determination to die. The main material world, Dragon Island, a hilly place where Shillong once stayed. As a small portal appeared, a fiery red fox with 2 fiery red tails emerged from it. It leaned down cautiously, looking around. Fortunately, there are no dragons around. In other words, do you want to listen to the devil dragon and find a dragon to speak? Or hide, ready to sneak back into the abyss? If I go back like this, if I get caught, I will definitely be killed, right? How to do? If you listen to him, go to the dragons. What if those dragons don't believe me and want to kill me? Wait, I'm an abyss demon. They can't kill me. What am I afraid of? The fox demon suddenly reacted. Not right. The dragons should not be underestimated. What if you happen to encounter someone with special means? Just as Firefox was hesitant, some strange sounds suddenly came from a corner in front. Firefox was a little curious. I walked forward quietly. When I came to the corner, there was an open cave next to it. There are 2 silver dragons sitting right inside, leaning against each other, seeming to be looking at something. Firefox looked intently. That seems to be an audiovisual stone. It recognized this thing at once when it had been to the material plane. What's in it? A red dragon, which looks like a huge body, was lying on a smaller green dragon, and its body moved. Both dragons made some strange noises. What is the dragon in the audiovisual stone doing? And these 2 dragons are looking at what? Firefox was taken aback and understood. Shindao, this dragon of Longdao can really play. Take a closer look at the 2 silver dragons. Although cuddling together, the stronger silver dragon, with its claws, has been restless, groping towards the other one. Hee, exciting? This is the collector's edition of audiovisual stone that I bought from Andre many years ago. You can't buy it on Dragon Island now. The Yinlong who was up and down laughed. You hate it. I always thought that you were a dragon with a strong sense of justice and morality, but I didn't expect to watch this kind of thing. The mother Yinlong said shyly. Oh, you can't say that. Let's see what the relationship is between couples. This is fun. Contribute to a harmonious life after marriage. Do you not like it? Gong Yinlong asked. The female silver dragon dared not speak shyly. Hey! Firefox looked at the loving couple dragons and hesitated. Want to tell them, I accepted the commission of the demon dragon from Shillong to find Kama and Viola, but if I bother them like this, will they kill me? Just when it is tangled. A gust of wind blew by, and the broken rocks on the top of the mountain fell down. Among them was a larger one, which just rolled down beside Firefox. The male silver dragon who was up and down instinctively looked back at the cave. The eyes of the male silver dragon and the Firefox collided. Instinctively, the male silver dragon's claws on the female silver dragon's hind legs retracted like lightning. Then he reacted suddenly. Damn, there is an abyss demon. The male silver dragon immediately jumped up from the ground and put the audiovisual stone into the space ring like lightning. The female silver dragon next to her quickly turned her head when she heard the male silver dragon and was shocked when she saw the Firefox. The evil abyssal demon dared to appear in the sacred place of Metal Dragon Island. I want to represent justice and destroy you. The male Yinlong roared, and dozens of ice arrows burst out of his mouth, scurrying towards the Firefox. The Firefox was taken aback and quickly avoided, shouting, Misunderstanding, I'm West. Before the Firefox could finish speaking, the male silver dragon rushed out of the cave and roared in anger. Shut up, evil abyss demon. Shake in front of the righteous Domani. Ice roar. Gong Yinlong didn't give Firefox a chance to speak at all. Wuxia World. Online, a large swath of icy fog sprayed onto Firefox. Help. Misunderstanding. I was sent by Shillong. Don't fight. The Firefox jumped and screamed while avoiding the ice fog. Fortunately, its strength is not weak, and it is good at agility. Otherwise, in the first round, this adult silver dragon will have to get down. How come these dragons are so irritable? Will I kill me if I don't do anything? Why is the devil so unwelcome? Devil die. Accept justice. The male silver dragon roared, unable to listen to the words of Firefox. He had just returned to Long Island not long ago, and he still didn't know Shillong's name. Chapter 269. I was sent by Shillong. Don't fight. It's all your own. Firefox shouted for help. The body turned into a flaming phantom and rushed to the distance quickly. The male Yinlong was chasing after him. The female silver dragon also followed at this time, following the male silver dragon. The Firefox ran away all the way, and didn't know how far it ran, just when it was panting. A red bronze dragon appeared again in front of him. The red bronze dragon seemed to take a surprised look at the Firefox, and then took a deep breath, obviously wanting to use a breath attack. Firefox was anxious. I was sent by Shillong. Don't fight. Shillong. Why I have said so many times, you don't know it. He clearly said that he is very famous. Firefox yelled loudly. The breath of the red bronze dragon stopped abruptly. Then he looked at the Firefox in surprise. Shillong? That Shillong Soderberg? Yeah, it's him. The Firefox dodges a cold breath again and rushes behind the red bronze dragon, hiding behind the opponent, his two forelimbs tightly hugging the opponent's hind legs, tearfully said, I finally found my dragon. Brothers in front, get out of the way. I want to eliminate evil on behalf of justice. The Yinlong, who had been flying in the air, hurriedly roared. The extremely cold breath that had been stuck in his throat was swallowed abruptly by him. This felt like swallowing back a mouthful of old phlegm, making Yinlong's face quite ugly. Brother Silver Dragon. Wait a minute. This Firefox said it was sent by the little director Shillong. Let's listen to what it says. The red bronze dragon quickly stopped the silver dragon. Shillong? Who the is Shillong? We are the Metal Dragon clan, and the dragon and the devil are mixed together? Then we must be severely punished together. Hateful. Yinlong gritted his teeth. The female silver dragon behind him finally followed at this time. She whispered a few words in the ear of the male Yinlong. Gong Yinlong's face changed continuously at last. He already knew Shillong's identity, so it was not convenient to say more at this time. I'm the Firefox sent by Shillong Soderberg. I have something important to tell Kama and a dragon named Viola. You take me to see them. Come to Elder Kama and Sister Viola? The bronze dragon was a little surprised. If he doesn't come to find it himself, why should he send you? He couldn't understand. But Firefox is even more incomprehensible. Nima. So how did the terrifying dragon, the demigod-level abyssal death omen star, reach the main material realm? Is there a problem with this red bronze dragon brain? Or do these dragons have problems with their brains? Ask me stupid things. He cursed in his heart, but on the surface, Firefox didn't dare to be so arrogant. It smiled awkwardly. This great red bronze dragon, you are laughing. With the strength of his royal highness, how can the main material world bear it? Although, as a devil, I read few books and don't know much knowledge, but I still understand some basic common sense. The red bronze dragon was even more confused, and Xylem could not come to the main material world? Exceed the upper limit of the main material world? Tell a joke? If I remember correctly, he is obviously the son of Sister Viola. Are you in your 50s now? Is this beyond the upper limit of the main material realm? The red bronze dragon thought that the Firefox was arguing with him, and the color of the scales on his face changed a little. I feel very unhappy. Firefox is best at observing words and expressions. When he saw that the dragon's face was wrong, he immediately said, Your Majesty, the great red bronze dragon. I really didn't lie to you. Please pass your words to Viola and Kama. Otherwise, I will be killed by Lord Xylem. The Firefox looked distressed, and his whole body stood up and bowed to the bronze dragon. The red bronze dragon saw that the Firefox was indeed sincere, and after a slight frown, he said to it, Well, let me believe you for the time being, and you come with me. If I find out that you dare to lie to us, then I must let you know what justice torture is. While talking, the red bronze dragon didn't forget to warn him. Firefox looked happy and prepared to keep up, but the male silver dragon on one side still didn't want to let it go. So he said, Brother, do you believe it? The Firefox of the Abyss is the most cunning. I don't know how many conspiracies and tricks there are. It doesn't matter if you believe it once. I don't believe it can make any waves on Dragon Island. The copper dragon said. Yinlong looked at the Firefox unhappy. Okay, but I don't worry that you Yinlong will take this cunning guy. I will take it with you to see Elder Kama and Sister Viola, and see what tricks it has. While talking, the male silver dragon followed with the female silver dragon. And what are Kama and Viola doing at this time? Since returning to Dragon Island, they have met Armin. Armin looked at the human figures Kama and Viola emerging from the portal, and he was excited. He yelled his mother, and quickly rushed towards his mother Viola. Viola could only watch the dragon-shaped Armin pounce at her. The huge Armin threw Viola directly to the ground. Armin excitedly called his mother's name, while licking his mother's face and body with his tongue. It's like a big dog that hasn't seen its owner for many years. Okay, Almin, don't lick it. Also, you are so heavy. Mom can't hold her elf form. Viola said to Almin with a smile. The sadness of Richard's death. Don't spread it to Armin again. Let him pass the past. Mom, I miss you so much. I heard Elder Kama say that you were taken away by that terrible empire. I thought you were dead, but it scared me to death, though. Armin's eyes fell into a series of large liquid mercury. Mom is okay. Sillon has rescued my mother. Viola was overwhelmed and struggling to gently tap Almin's head, which is larger than his body, with his hands, comfortingly. That's right. Where's Shillong and his dragon? Armin was startled and suddenly looked at the portal before, nowhere to be seen. He will be fine, right? Don't worry, Shillong will be fine, but something has been delayed. Karma smiled at this time. Oh hi, I thought, how could something go wrong with the Sillon's ability? Haha, Almena laughed at the end. After laughing for a while, he said again, oh by the way, mother, have you found your father? I still want to see my father. We have all heard Uncle Oram say that he is a great dragon. Shillong and I are proud of having such a father. Richard is dead. Viola sighed. My boy, don't mention his name again. Armin was taken aback for a moment, then said, oh, okay. Then he glanced at the mother who was pressed under him, swiped it, and changed back to the elf form, gently hugging her mother's body. Viola looked at Armin, who was wearing a beautiful dress and long silver-white hair. How she looked like herself. The whole face is a little dazed. She hugged Armin from the ground, who was a few centimeters shorter than her at this time, then let him stand on the ground. Viola and Armin stood together like a mother and daughter. Child, what are you doing? Viola hesitated and stopped. She knows that some silver dragons in the clan are abnormal. She was a little worried that Armin was heading in that direction. Mom, surprise? Am I beautiful now? Many humans like me. I'm out there, so welcome. Armin had a proud chest. Oh you. Viola looked at Armin, with some headaches, but some things still need to be tested. Son, you are now in your 50s. Have you found your partner outside? No, Mom. Armin disapproved. Then you don't want to find one? Viola asked. I don't want to. I'm still young. Now my mother is coming back and my mother and Shillong will live together in the future. Then do you think, if you choose, do you want to play with male creatures or with female creatures? Viola was cautious. Of course it's playing with males. Part 2. Armin said directly, playing with females is the most boring. I have no common language and hobbies with them. They don't understand anything at all. But male humans are different. They like playing with me the most. Let's play Legend of Heroes of the Mainland together for 3 days and 3 nights without stopping. Armin said vigorously. His eyes only flashed. Mom, do you know the Legend of Mainland Heroes? That is a game developed by Shillong. Super fun. He is really a genius. When he comes back, I will take you to play and let her help her design an exclusive super powerful card for her mother. At that time, Mom, you have to give me your cards. Mom, let me tell you. Armin chattered vigorously. Viola didn't listen to those last words. She only heard Armin say that she has no interest in female creatures and likes to play with males. My goodness. Armin, my child, will you finally step into the ranks of the perverted silver dragon? What should I do? Do you want to stop him or follow him? Viola hesitated, but he watched Armin still enthusiastically telling the happy story of himself playing with a certain human man. The smile on his face is so familiar. That's exactly the smile I met Richard when I was young. This kid, like human males. The Yinlong clan does not exclude the love between clan dragons and humans, but the same is not so easy to accept. But, as long as Armin is happy, I still wish them. Viola made up his mind. She's all a dragon who has walked through the underworld, so what else can't be seen? As long as the child is happy, the worldly vision does not care. Viola looked at the gushing Armin with a smile. A long time. Armin stopped and said, That's right. Mom, you are back now. Let's go and report to Uncle Oram for safety. He must be worried about you now. Brother Oram. Mom, don't blame Uncle Oram. Even if he doesn't say it, Silent and I will find you. The Great Arcanist will have a 9-level detection spell, which is enough to find you. It seems. Afraid of Viola's misunderstanding, Armin explained. Don't worry, Mom won't blame him. Viola just smiled. Sanlong quickly went to Oram's library. When Sanlong looked for it, Orem did not stay in the cave of the library, but walked around restlessly outside. The long tail behind him has been flapping with small stones anxiously. When he saw Viola, he was immediately surprised. After that, there was a surprise retelling of the old, needless to say. I don't know how long it took. A red bronze dragon, 2 silver dragons, and a fire fox came over. From afar, the more sensitive Kama felt the aura of the abyss demon, frowning and looking at the fire fox a kilometer away, until they slowly approached. After all the dragons saw each other, Kama asked, Bon, did you come with an abyss demon? Elder Kama, the fire fox said he was sent by Shillong. I have something to tell you and Sister Viola, the red copper dragon said. Shillong? Karma was taken aback, then smiled slightly. It seems that he has got rid of the pursuit of Thomas' arcane empire, but why doesn't he come to us directly? Is that Shillong okay? Armin stared at the fire fox. Viola didn't say a word. Armin had already said what she was about to say, just staring at the fire fox with a pair of beautiful eyes. All the dragons stared at the fire fox, which made its heart jump. A little nervously said, No, it's okay. How could something be wrong with your Highness Zero? How could something happen to his such a strong dragon? Are all this gang of Shillong fools? The next 2 sentences Firefox cursed in his heart. His face respectfully said, His Royal Highness Shillong. He is now waiting for your great dragons on the 15th floor of the abyss. He wants me to tell you the coordinates there, saying that His Royal Highness Kama knows. While talking, it used its paws to pull out a curl of fur made of unknown material from the hair on its chest, and handed it to Karma. After Kama took it, he looked carefully. There are dozens of strings of numbers, each string of numbers ranging from 5 or 6 to 10 and 20, which can dazzle ordinary people. Is this the abyss coordinate? As the master of Shillong, a legendary arcane master, Kama understood. Yes. His Royal Highness Shillong is waiting for you there. Firefox said quickly. If this is the case, it means that Shillong has been completely rejected by the main material realm. Karma analyzed WuxiaWorld.online, but this is also normal. With his strength, he will be rejected a long time ago. It's all a miracle now. Kama sighed. The red bronze dragon and the silver dragon couple looked at each other suspiciously. They don't understand it all, and they feel that they are not on the same channel as the dragon and Firefox. Really? Isn't Shillong already unable to return to the main material plane? But it doesn't matter, as long as he escapes from the Empire. There is also the abyss. He can't stay here for too long. It won't be good to be abyssed after staying for a long time. I have to make it clear to Shillong later. At that time, we pray that Shillong will enter the realm of His Majesty Bahamut and live there in peace. As a mother, Viola thought a lot for Shillong. Chapter 270. Out of the main material realm, there are many options. You can go to the star realm, you can also go to the abyss or hell, you can even explore the different planes. But the abyss and are both extremely corrosive. After staying in it for a long time, the thinking will tend to be confused, and the brain will not work well. There was such a thing a long time ago. The lord of a certain abyss invaded a certain alien plane and lost to the opponent. Not to mention being beaten back to the abyss, the enemy directly led the army to counterattack the abyss, and the entire floor was occupied. Then that floor became the back garden of the occupiers, and it became the joke of all the creatures who knew about it at that time, just when they thought the abyss was only so. These occupiers, who stayed in the abyss for too long, were directly demonized by all. Become the new demon army. The supreme commander of the occupier has become the new lord of the abyss. It can be seen that the horror of living in the abyss for a long time, and hell, is not too much to let. Traveling on different planes is also very dangerous. As an outer plane creature, to enter the different plane, the first thing to face is the rejection of world consciousness. The outer plane creatures will suffer the malice of the world, and everything will go wrong. Then came the astral world. That is even more dangerous, but there are gods on it. There are also star beasts that can rival the gods, which are the heaven for the truly strong and the for the weak. But as long as you stay in the realm of gods faithfully, you won't encounter these things. Viola apparently hoped that Shillong could enter Bahamut's god realm and live a stable life. What are you talking about? The red bronze dragon and the 2 silver dragons didn't understand. These are not important things. I will start to burn the magic circle first, and I will go to the abyss to meet with Shillong. Karma was already talking while burning the magic circle. In just a few minutes, the burning is complete. Shillong and Firefox got in. As soon as they got in, they saw a black iron barrier erected in front of them, and occasionally a golden streamer flashed across the barrier. The huge shadow completely obscured all humanoid dragons and firefoxes. The dragons raised their heads and looked up at 90 degrees, only to see the barriers in front of them. This is a super dragon 780 meters high. He squatted quietly on the ground, his head drooping. The eyes that exuded a stream of golden particles stared at them, making Long feel a little surprised inexplicably. West? Shillong. Why are you getting bigger again? Armin's eyes straightened. How come this has grown from more than 50 meters to 80 meters after not seeing him for a few days? What did this grow up on? It makes me stressed. The comparison between Armin's body and Shillong's body is really the difference between the little milk cat and the big tiger. The two of us are brothers. You make it really hard for me to be a dragon like this. Kama and Viola also looked horrified. How long has it been apart? It only took a few hours. How did it become so big? The two dragons even dare not show their true shape. In front of this kind of dragon, they are just children, and they have to listen to him calling Teacher Kama, Mother Viola. This will make the two dragons very uncomfortable. And the Yinlong couple who followed looked at Shillong's body and said with pain on their faces, Is this the little director of Shillong? Sister Viola's son? Are you sure you made a mistake? Regardless of what kind of dragon he is, just this size, I feel that I can be my grandfather. When the other dragons heard this, their expressions hurt. Sister Viola, you kid, what did you grow up with? Firefox saw that the task was completed at this time and ran away. Everyone, this is a very complicated question, but it's not a bad thing. As you can see, I can no longer return to the main material realm, and I am ready to settle in the abyss. Silo said his purpose. He didn't want to go to the star realm. He knew that his strength was definitely invincible in the main material realm. But in front of the gods of the star realm, it is obviously not enough to see. Although these gods of the star realm will not go out of the gods, and they will only order the followers in general, but Luashanda is an exception. No one dares to speculate about this lunatic with ordinary people's thinking. It's hard to guarantee that he won't go out of God's domain to directly kill him. Therefore, the astral world is too dangerous. And these lords of the abyss, as long as they don't provoke them, they don't bother to care about other creatures. Settling in the abyss? Viola was startled and quickly explained the characteristics and examples of the abyss assimilating other creatures. Xylem was slightly silent when he heard the words. So, the magma of molten core was absorbed by a large margin before, and falling asleep might be the erosion of the abyss? This had to make him think more. That deep sleep was really abnormal. Seeing Shillin's silence, Viola quickly told Shillong his plan. Prepare to pray to His Majesty Bahamut to go to Shillong to the god's realm. But to be honest, Shillong did not want to accept this proposal. He respects Bahamut very much, but he doesn't want to stay in the other side's gods every day. I have been in the city of tomorrow for a long time, and the city lord is used to it. How can he be controlled by other dragons? He quietly changed the subject and told Viola about his life outside of Dragon Island for more than 10 years. The other dragons were watching. What he said is very attractive. Especially Armin is here. Every time I heard a topic he was interested in, he would jump out and talk a lot. Especially the Legend of Mainland Heroes has become the best game in the world in Armin's mouth. Just play for 3 minutes, and you will be like me. Completely fall in love with this game. This made the Silver Dragon couple and the other Red Bronze Dragon both interested, expressing their hope to go to the city of tomorrow in the future. Shillong also talked to Karma about the destruction of the arcane empire of Thomas. After listening, Kama and Viola were a little surprised, but looking at Shillong's current physique, they suddenly felt that it was really possible. After all, with his current physique, even the oldest Taiku dragon does not have this level. Only the kind of real dragon with the blood of the ancestor dragon can grow up to such an extraordinary level. What's more, Shillong's combat power has always been far surpassed that of a dragon of the same size, and Kama has long been unable to estimate its combat power. A group of dragons chatted very happily. The white gold dragon sculpture that had been hanging around Kama's neck suddenly burst into silver-white brilliance. It's Your Majesty Bahamut. Kama was immediately surprised when she saw this. When the other dragons heard this, they were a little surprised. They each looked at the platinum carving with reverence. Good afternoon, dear children, my Bahamut. I am very glad to meet you. The voice of Charity sounded from the carving. His Majesty Bahamut, it is an honor for all our dragons to meet you. The Red Bronze Dragon was very excited and shouted first. The other dragons also hurriedly expressed their respect. Your Majesty, are you showing up this time for Shillong? Kama asked tentatively. After all, the arcane empire of Thomas had just been destroyed. After solving the great troubles of the gods, Bahamut came to find Shillong to solve the problem. I really came to him. Bahamut did not deny. For Thomas Arcane Empire? Yes, for the matter of Thomas Arcane Empire. Bahamut's voice was a little melancholy. Children, can you leave a separate space for me and Shillong a little bit? I have very important things to talk to him. When the other dragons heard the words, they didn't ask much and left a few hundred meters away, leaving enough room for one dragon and one statue. Part 2. Looking at the other dragons leaving, the platinum statue flashed and a soundproof barrier appeared. Isolated and Shillong from the outside world. Need to be so cautious? Shillong watched for a moment, then yelled obediently, Grandpa Bahamut. Child, do you know you committed a serious crime? Bahamut sighed. Xylem was a little confused. Grandpa, shouldn't it be a good thing that I eliminated the arcane empire of Thomas? How come it's a big crime? Child, it is a good thing to destroy the arcane empire of Thomas, but you have affected too many innocent lives. Look at this. As Bahamut spoke, an image was generated in the void. It was the scene from the Shillong nuclear explosion. A torrent of red gold fell from the sky, turn into white light, swallow everything. The devastating impact of the last days has swept across thousands of kilometers, and everything swept over will be destroyed. People die. The beast is gone. Civilization dissipated. The pain on the faces of the people who survived the catastrophe, some with despair and the color of death. I did this? Shillong was a little silent. He didn't expect his breathing power to be so great. Yes, Shillong, hundreds of millions of lives died this time because of you. Bahamut was also somewhat silent. Sorry, I didn't mean it. Shillong's dragon face was full of apologies. Although he killed a lot in the past, he consciously killed the people who should be killed. At that time, he could still say something cheeky, although I like nuclear ping, killing lives and leading demons to invade. I know I am a good dragon, but now, no matter how thick-skinned he is, he dare not say such a thing. The word kindness seems to have nothing to do with him. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, teacher, I am ashamed of what you taught me. I am not clean. Shillong's eyes were full of tears, and he tried to raise his head to look towards the sky, as if he didn't want to let the tears stay. I know you weren't a kid on purpose. Bahamut sighed as he looked at Shillong. Alas, the child is a good boy. If you look at how sad he is now, you will know that he is a good dragon. But if you have this kind of power, although you don't want to do this, too much power will always make things out of your own expectations and make things worse. To be honest, at the beginning, Bahamut was also angry at Shillong for doing such a thing, but straightened out the causes and consequences carefully. He discovered that although Shillong had made a big mistake, it was not intentional. In addition to eradicating the scourge of the Doma Arcane Empire, countless lives have been saved indirectly. The other party is a child of the same race. Old Shanlong's heart of protecting the calf arose. Child, do you know that because of this, the gods of the entire star realm are now trying to kill you, and soon, especially the Lord of Dawn. He has definitely begun to find your whereabouts. The abyss, hell, and the astral world are not safe anymore. Bahamut said, seeming to be afraid of Shillong's pride and underestimating the power of the gods. So he said, My child, don't be complacent because of your own power and underestimate the gods. With your current strength, even the weakest can easily deal with you, unless you still have the strength of the previous burst. But that is far from being compared with the oldest and powerful Lord of Dawn. You are still too young now. What does Grandpa Bahamut mean? Xylem asked. He believed that this old good dragon would not lie to him. If the other party is disappointed because of his own affairs, he will never use any conspiracy to insult him. Either ignore it, or go directly with the gods to destroy him. What's the cost then? Child, take refuge in a different plane. There may be some crises there, but with your current strength, there is a high probability that you can deal with it. But facing the gods, you are definitely not an opponent. And I can't protect you in front of the gods. Bahamut said very directly. Extra plane travel? Shillong doesn't actually have much knowledge in this area. Generally speaking, traveling on different planes, in the main material plane, only a handful of legendary mages can do this. The unknown and the opportunity coexist. There are countless planes in the entire multiverse, which are stronger than the universe where Shillong is now. He hesitated, because he hated unknown crises. Bahamut obviously also saw Shillong's hesitation. My boy, I have chosen a suitable plane for you, go. Later, the Lord of Dawn is coming. Bahamut seemed anxious. As he spoke, he had used his divine power to open a pure black space-time hole in front of him. Shillong was still hesitating, but the dragons such as Viola and Kama in the distance realized that the situation was wrong here, and ran over one by one and entered the soundproof barrier. Viola looked at the space-time wormhole and asked Bahamut, Your Majesty, are you taking Shillong to your kingdom of God? No, I want to send him to a different plane. Bahamut didn't mean to conceal anything. Viola was surprised. Your Majesty, that's too dangerous. Child, you have to have faith in Shillong, and I have found a plane that suits him. Bahamut said, and briefly said Shillong's serious crime in the main material realm. This made Viola and the dragons stunned. The arcane empire of Thomas was completely destroyed? There are hundreds of millions of ordinary lives together? Is this too much? Grandpa Bahamut, are you kidding? Armin asked with his mouth open. Child, do you think I am the kind of dragon who likes to joke? Bahamut was helpless. Now Shillong is not safe anywhere. Going to the star realm is undoubtedly looking for death. I am also unable to protect him. Staying in the abyss and hell, the gods will also be in the lower realm. Even if they have fought with the Lord of the Abyss, they will kill Shillong. Only the alien plane is considered safe. At least the gods are hard to find. Viola didn't know what to say while waiting for the dragon. All the dragons were a little silent. Xylem suddenly spit out his space ring and handed it to Bahamut. Grandpa, this is all my private dragon treasure. There are 3,321,600 in it. 37 gold coins plus 36 silver and 12 copper coins. There are also some equipment. This is all up to you. If there are brothers and sisters of the same race who need to use it to help those who suffer because of me, you can give them the gold coins. This is the only thing I can do before I leave this plane. Xylem felt a little distressed about his gold coins, but he felt that he should hand over the money as some compensation, because otherwise, he can't do anything. Life for a life? That is obviously impossible. Child you. Bahamut was speechless. The child is indeed a good child, but if he cannot fully control his own power, it will easily cause unnecessary disasters. What a pity. Other dragons expressed admiration for Shillong's actions. After all, they also know that it is impossible to pay for their lives. Seeing Bahamut take away the gold coins, Xylem narrowed his body and controlled his height to about 3 meters, and said goodbye to his mother, Armin, Kama, and other dragons who had just met, and then went into the space-time hole. The inside of the space-time hole is not like a portal, and immediately exit from the other side after drilling in. Instead, it seems to have entered a virtual grid-like virtual space dominated by black and blue. There are countless bubbles around. Looking carefully at those bubbles, there seem to be countless images circulating inside. Shillong saw a bubble, showing a tiger hunting in the jungle. I also saw a man with a wizard hat on his head, lying on the table, doing exercises seriously. A person who seemed to be a master of martial arts rushed to kill in the ancient army. Shillong also saw the busy future technology city. The lake is endless and fleeting. Before he could think about it, a whirlpool surged beneath him, drawing him into it. The entire space once again returned to tranquility. 15 layers of the abyss. Part 3. Bahamut looked at the disappearing time and space. My heart secretly said, my child, I'm sorry, I lied to you. This time and space, I don't even know where to go. Only the unknown is not easy to be found by the gods. If it's those alien planes that have been recorded, there are also the power of the gods there, and you can't hide yourself there. Stay well in the unknown alien plane, and it's best not to come back. Good for you, and good for everyone. Ectopic surface. Dora's tomb world. Here is a strange world. Black rock plain. A gray-black dragon with a body length of more than 10 meters fought fiercely with a team of more than a dozen people. It looked a little miserable, with a lot of dark red blood on its body. Obviously suffered a lot of trauma in the battle. Oh, ignorant people who provoked Morid Apostle of Ashes. You have completely angered me. Accept the judgment of the doomsday. Ouch. The gray-black dragon roared, completely ignoring the siege of the dozens of people. In the original blue sky, red fireballs fell from the sky. Boss is running out of blood. This time it's a big move. Everyone wins if you hold on. A hunter pulls his bow and arrow. Each arrow is engraved with enchanting inscriptions. The power is like a bullet, constantly shooting at the dragon. Every time you hit the target, the dragon will shed blood. Brother Monkey is going to open the shield wall. This time, 3 consecutive fire meteors will smash your face. Be careful not to be second. The priest pays attention to the blood of Brother Monkey. Shaoli immediately activates the sacred protection, adding resistance to everyone. The hunter who spoke before was obviously the commander of the 12-man team. He was shooting arrows while keeping an eye on the battlefield. The others who were named reacted instantly. The main force MT Monkey Brother shouted wildly. A golden shield immediately appeared in front of him. The priest put a layer of virtual armor on everyone on the team. In the next moment, the fire meteor in the sky fell. The first to bear the brunt is the main soldier Monkey Brother. Every time he hits a meteorite, the green bar on his head will be reduced by half. And the dragon violently waved its claws, and every time it slapped on the warrior shield wall, a small piece of life disappeared. Several pastors in the back walked to avoid the meteorite while healed the soldiers, making the soldiers' lives ups and downs like a roller coaster. With no danger, the soldier survived the explosion of the fire and meteorite. But this is a group spell, and there are still 2 wizard spells that are too H to be hit by the fire meteor. The full blood bar disappeared instantly, but he was immediately resurrected by the priest. The dragon that released the spell was obviously wilted. Attack power and attack frequency are greatly reduced. The soldiers resisted without pressure at all. The entire team violently output for dozens of seconds. The black-gray dragon roared, "Damn human! Master Morid is hungry. I have no time to play with you," he said, flapping his wings to fly away, but just took off. The hunter commander shouted. All members immediately used the dragon lock. Yes. In the uniform shouts, a stick-shaped object immediately appeared in the empty palms of all members. They inserted the poles directly into the ground. Z. Click when the column enters the ground. It starts directly by itself. A drill bit was drilled out of the lower head, drilled into the ground one by one, and fixed. Then a thick blue rope flew out from above and entangled around the gray-black dragon. Wow! 10 numbers and chains locked the dragon, making him unable to break free in a short time. The dragon struggled frantically, like a piglet facing a butcher. He felt the fear of death. Everyone will give me output. Turn on the explosive skills. Be sure to kill the dragon within 10 seconds. The hunter command looked at the dozens of columns on the ground that extended out of the chain. Pulled by the huge power of the dragon, he intercepted and rose. Obviously it can't last long. Aeoning runs away. Flame pulse. Deadly ice. Hellfire. Wandblade wind. Blasting wind. 1,000 arrows pierce the heart. Blade storm. Turn him to death for me. Everyone yelled and activated the maximum output. The brilliance of magic, the rain of arrows Wuxia World, online, and the tornado of the sky erupted on the dragon. Wow! The dragon roared. A stream of blood burst out of him. And some damage figures. -121, -19, -87, -654. However, within 7 or 8 seconds, the dragon wailed feebly and fell to the ground. When he landed, the whole ground vibrated. Chapter 271. The latest website. Call finally solved. The hunter commander breathed a sigh of relief, and then became excited. He laughed. Okay, now is the harvest time. This is a tier 7 dragon, as a 7 skeleton boss, and they have the nature to collect treasures. I'm sure there will be a big harvest this time. There will be more than one epic equipment. In the world of Dora's Tomb, bosses are divided into 1 to 10 skeleton levels. The more skeletons, the higher the difficulty. Hey, hearing what Brother Ao said, I was relieved. The equipment will be released later. Everyone has the old rules. If you want it, you can bid directly, and the leader who doesn't want it on consignment. A pastor said happily. What about consignment? It's shipped. I have all the packages. Don't be afraid that I have no money, said a mage whose whole body was shrouded in brilliance. Brother Hao is awesome. Brother Hao is domineering. As expected to be the top master of the whole server. Someone patted the horse. Hey, if I had Brother Hao, the family conditions would be great. Buy and buy equipment and spend money on skills. In this way, maybe my actual strength can also be improved by 1 stage, reaching the 5th stage, only 1 tier lower than the game. Someone sighed. The game of Dora's Tomb world, even if it has been 5 years now, I can't believe it. You said that a good normal world, no magic, no gods, a world that believes in technology. I used to play games on a computer. Why did a holographic one pop up? Increasing the strength in it can actually affect the reality, improve together? Does it feel so unreal? Too nonsense. Someone sighed again. Didn't many people analyze it online, saying that this is a game made by gods? All of us are lucky. Someone laughed. Dora's Tomb world game. A game that logged into the Federation Star 5 years ago. No one knows who made it. When it first appeared, it was when the first people went to bed at night. A line of text suddenly appeared in my mind. Want to have extraordinary power? Do you want to fly like a superhero in a movie or anime? Yes/no. Some people chose yes and entered the world of Dora's Tomb. Some people chose no or entered the world of Dora's Tomb. This is the beginning of the world of Dora's Tomb and the beginning of the real world's changes. The world has changed, but the order has not changed. Although the guys who suddenly gained power were lawless and chaotic from the beginning, they were quickly suppressed. After all, it was 3,987 in the federal calendar. By this time, human technology was already very powerful, including machine guns, artillery, and fighter jets. Where can ordinary transcendents make waves? After a suppression, the arrogant transcendents are honest. Know your father, or your father. In front of the Federation, they are nothing. You must know that it is calculated according to the power system of the world of Dora's Tomb. It is divided into 110 levels. The quality of weapons is inferior, ordinary, sophisticated, perfect, excellent, epic, legend, and myth. In reality, everyone is generally much weaker than the game, and there is no matching equipment. This result has caused people below Tier 4 to be directly killed by a pistol. Tier 5 cannot escape the fate of being encircled. At this stage, the strongest level 6 top level like Brother Hao dare not perform too much in reality. Otherwise, if you are attacked by a large number of machines, you will die. So the order did not collapse, and the currency was also strong. But games are as important as reality. Two-way currencies are already interoperable. Okay, stop discussing the old things 5 years ago. Now it's time to open the space ring happily. Hunter Commander Ogo raised the ring in his hand. This was found from the scales on the chest and abdomen of the gray-black dragon. In the world of Dora's Tomb, monsters will not explode their equipment directly after death, and low-level monsters in the wild will not explode. Only those who have the lair may be found in the lair after being killed. There are also those with large bodies, which may be inside by directly dissecting the corpses and cutting open their stomach pouches. And those with advanced transformation capabilities like giant dragons have space equipment similar to players and store their treasures in them. Hey, I hope there will be a few more mages' equipment so that Brother How can become even more powerful, said a warlock who looked a little wretched and wore a dark robe. His name was Momo, and his strength was barely level 6. There are a few more epics used by mages to make Brother How's output more powerful. Thinking about it, it makes people unable to close their legs, a beautiful and charming female priest also said. She is Xiaoli, the main pastor of the team. She is beautiful and has good skills. With a pair of watery peachy eyes, he always likes to look at the strongest and most luxuriously equipped brother in the team with affectionate eyes. And Brother How is an authentic tall, rich and handsome with a refined appearance and a tall and thin body. He gently pushed his glasses and said, "It's better to make a soldier's armor. After all, you have to rely on the monkey brother MT to fight the boss." After he finished speaking, he looked at the team leader. This is an absolute strong man. The body is comparable to bodybuilders, but the face looks a little thin, like a monkey face, which doesn't match the body. I hope. Brother Monkey touched his head and smiled. But I said in my heart, I can't afford to pay for it. Let's get out the mage equipment. I just want to divide the money. Brother How much magic power do you have now? The output just now is too violent. People who watched are so careful that they can't stop jumping, Xiaoli said. 2011. Brother How grinned slightly. As expected of Brother How, he has more than 2,000 magic powers. People are only 1,306, only half of the brother, Xiaoli admired. Brother How, great. Momo gave a thumbs up. It's okay. Brother How pretended to be modest. It's still 156 magic power, short of the first magic god, Holy Witch, and we need to work hard. Brother How will surpass him soon. I believe Brother How, Xiaoli said. Okay, alright, don't chat. I'm ready to open the space ring now. Hunter Ao looked at Momo and Xiaoli's non-stop flattering and quickly stopped them. After everyone had arrived, they folded their hands together. Said, "The greatest all-knowing and almighty in the tomb of Dora, Lord Milpo Rocks, bless you. More magical outfits. Milbolocks, the only in the world of Dora's tomb, the receiver of the game world. After the player enters the game, the first thing he sees is him. Most of the main tasks also come from him. All players have to recite the name of the all-knowing almighty God 10 times in their hearts every day. Otherwise, you will be shrouded in bad luck. NPCs in the whole world will be indifferent to them. And if you worship the omniscient and almighty God, you will get good luck. This is a strange rule. Many pure gamers cannot understand this rule. However, some people analyze that Milbolocks was the master of the game world. Think that the whole game must have something they don't understand. It's a conspiracy. Indulging in it, there will be big problems. Because of this, the players in the entire game world are basically the potential believers of Milbo. Whenever it is time to open equipment, etc., when luck is needed, players will instinctively start praying to the omniscient and almighty for 20 seconds. Everyone put their hands together in prayer. 10 seconds later, Brother How, who hadn't finished praying, suddenly felt a strange breath 100 meters behind him. This surprised him, and quickly interrupted the prayer and shouted, "There seems to be another monster nearby. Everyone, be careful." When everyone heard the reminder, they stopped praying and looked around. Soon I found a little dragon no more than 3 to 4 meters tall. Part 2. The dragon was covered in black scales, and golden streamers occasionally flashed across the scales, which actually had a strange beauty. Wow, there is another dragon. Still a little dragon. What is this? Hit the big one, and the small one? Brothers, this is a little boss that is delivered to your door for free. The wretched Mo's eyes lit up and he laughed. No player has ever disliked the dragons he encountered. In addition to representing high-end combat power, the dragon also represents treasure. Even if they are minors, their body materials are still valuable. Just like the adult gray-black dragon before. Even if it is just a dragon corpse, its value is enough to compare with half of epic equipment, or half a level 7 skill book. This kind of thing, even if it is a local tyrant like Haogu, who is the only child of the world's top 500, he has no more than 2 hands. It's not that they have no money to buy, but they are out of stock, and the competitiveness is too great, and they will stop when they exceed a certain limit. This is an unruly rule among local tyrants. And although this little dragon is not as valuable as an adult, it shouldn't be a problem to exchange for an excellent quality equipment. And Momo, the excellent equipment on his body can reach half. If it were not for the strong technical strength, it would be impossible to mix with the local tyrants like Brother How. Shadow web. Momo was talking, but his hands were not slow. A large web of dark energy formed instantly from the void, immediately covering the little dragon. The dragon was covered, and his head that had turned around immediately looked at Imo and others. The beautiful eyes full of golden particles seemed curious. Haha, little baby, eat a shadow arrow from Grandpa. Mo laughed trivially, and as soon as he raised his hand, an arrow of thick dark power was condensed. Whoosh! The shadow bolt hit the dragon almost in an instant. -0. Fuck. Not breaking defense. Lao Tzu is a 6th order warlock. He has 1,200 magic power. Mo's smile froze and immediately reacted, brothers, attack. This little dragon is not easy. It is definitely not an ordinary dragon. Immune to dark attributes. I can't kill him. Lianzhu arrow. Oge reacted the fastest and quickly used one of his own kills. 10 arrows were shot in 1 second, and each one shot towards Xiaolong's eyes. This is a Tier 6 advanced combat technique. Every arrow has extraordinary power. The latter one is always stronger than the previous one, and its power is greatly increased. By the last one, it can hit several times the damage of the first one. Whoosh whoosh. Xiaolong closed his eyes lightly and shot 10 arrows almost in no particular order. Clang clang. The sound is connected. 0,0,0,0,0,0. The figures are also joined together. Looks extra neat, damn. I won't break the defense. What kind of dragon is this? Aogu exclaimed. Afterwards, the mage who started his hands, fireballs, ice arrows, and wind blades shot them, bringing a series of -0. Among them was Brother Hao. He took a deep breath and exclaimed, this little dragon, isn't it a Tier 10 creature? While screaming, he hurriedly used detection technique. Everyone used the detection technique like him, wanting to see what happened to this little dragon. Name? Gender? Male race? Dragon? Stage position? Degree of danger? Extremely fatal. Mada? All are question marks. This must have 10 orders. Are we lucky or lucky? The 10th order creatures that are rare in the world of Doris Tomb have been encountered in the wild by us. Momo could not laugh or cry. Run now. I don't want to die here once. The 48 hours of weak resurrection is not uncomfortable. I have to drop attributes. Brother Hao yelled, turned and released his Pegasus, and was about to leave. In the world of Doris Tomb, the punishment is very serious. Not only does the 48-hour attribute decrease 90% of the weakness period, but in reality, you will experience dizziness and other symptoms. Essence is greatly reduced. It's like ordinary people who have spent 2 or 3 days all night. Generally, after such a person dies in the game, they will sleep for a whole day to recover. Brother Hao, bring me with my little sister. Shaoli said quickly aside. Then you come up quickly. Brother Hao replied. Brother Hao, take me too. Mo also shouted aside. As he said, I wanted to jump on the back of Tianma, but Tianma stretched out his hoof, and Peng's kick hit Mo. -121 Momo flew out several meters. Oh Brother Hao, your horse is too cruel, right? Mo shouted as he got up. The mount just changed. Apart from the owner, this horse is only for female players to ride. Sorry, Aogu said. Shaoli already sat behind Hao Ge. Drive. Brother Hao pinched the horse's belly, and Tianma neighed and spread its wings and flew away. But before he could fly 30 or 40 meters, Brother Hao and Shaoli felt that the scenery had begun to regress. Then Brother Hao felt that Shaoli behind him was pulling himself desperately, as if trying to pull him off his horse. This made Brother Hao had to hold on to the horse's neck. Shaoli, what are you doing? Don't talk to me. I'm falling off. Brother Hao, I don't want to. I feel that someone is pulling me. Shaoli clung to Brother Hao. Her hands were not honest, touched east and west, and the face of Brother Hao changed color. They regressed quickly. In the eyes of others Wuxia world. Online the little dragon in the distance just gently lifted his paw and made a gesture of ingestion. Brother Hao's Tianma was photographed, and then hit the dragon's paw. Then the dragon flicked lightly. More than a dozen members screamed that they were all photographed. Surrounded by the dragon, they formed a circle, and when they thought they were going to be killed by a spike, the boss behind them was silent. They looked at each other. Fuck. What's the situation? What does this boss want to do? Don't attack us. Is there any special plot task? Someone said so. Brother Monkey's eyes lit up. What you said is reasonable. I feel that we are about to develop. Chapter 272. Xylem looked at these guys quietly, his eyes full of surprise. How is the way these guys speak so modern? And why do they jump out of zero when they attack me? Is this a game? Especially when he first came here, he found that he had an extra attribute panel. Name? Race? Dragon? Gender? Male stage position? There is also a string of strength and defense attributes, all of which are between 40,000 and 50,000. He did not understand. Bahamut said to send him to another world. But this other world shouldn't have anything to do with the game, right? This reminded him of holographic online games. Can this kind of thing be considered a plane? I crossed into an online game? Shillong didn't believe it at all. Isn't this nonsense? The game plane is also considered a plane? So he caught these guys, ready to ask questions. However, before he could speak, in the crowd, a relatively mature hunter spoke at this time. Your Lord the Dragon. Hello. As you can see, I am a professional hunter. These people are my partners. We are a mercenary team. We are sorry for attacking you earlier. To apologize, you can delegate to us. We must do it for you. Huh. Shillong frowned and looked at the talking hunter in a daze. After the other party finished speaking, there was a voice in his mind saying, a player has submitted a task request to you. You can entrust them with the task you want to delegate and reward some items. Hold the grass. What is going on in this world? Is it really the game world? I don't believe it. Shillong's heart was roaring, but he still wanted to follow the voice in his mind to see what would happen. After organizing the language, he said, Mortal, I have slept in the volcano for 1,000 years. You are the first human beings I have seen after I wake up. If you can tell me everything about the present, as long as I am satisfied, I will not be stingy with rewards for you. When Shillong's voice fell, the voice in his mind sounded again. You have posted a task to the other party. Please choose the prize you want to give. Reward? What is the reward? Lao Tzu's space ring has been given to Bahamut. There seems to be nothing on your body now? How to do? Can saliva work? Just when Shillong thought so, the voice in my mind reminded again. The saliva of the dragon? Are you sure? Really okay? Confirmed. Please choose. The amount of dragon saliva? This? Shillong took a closer look at the hunter team. There were 12 people in total, or 12 drops of saliva. 12 drops, dragon saliva. Are you sure? Confirm. Please name your saliva. What's it called? You must be domineering, or you won't be able to shake these players. Shillong thought for a moment. The sun drops. Drip item confirmation. Send a message to the other party. Hunter Captain Oge and all team members received the system prompt at this time. I have issued a commission to you, sleeping for 1,000 years? Because I have been out of the world for a long time, and my understanding of the world today is not perfect, please tell me everything about the world as much as possible until satisfaction, reward, Jiang water drop. The task is here. There is a task. Ha ha ha. Momo laughed. This kind of powerhouse with the least 10th rank, the task will definitely not be bad. Fortunately, I acted quickly and put him on the net. Otherwise this task I may miss it. While boasting, Momo looked at the mission with his teammates, his eyes straightened up until the last reward item. On their virtual screen, Jiang water drop. This is how Shillong's saliva is introduced. Rank, legendary upper rank. Introduction. The most masculine and strong, water droplets with endless flame power, suspected to be extracted from the stars. Efficacy. Refining equipment, medicine refining equipment, good equipment, can be handed over to the omniscient and almighty God, that will give you certain rewards. You can also go to the refining equipment, medicine refining center in the city to refine treasures. Hold Chao Nima, legendary treasure. My God, this is going to be posted. Brother Monkey yelled first, his face suffocated like a monkey butt. This is so outrageous. Momo, you are a lucky star. What's the matter with Guan Momo? I think Brother Hao is here, so we have this opportunity. Shaoli said at this time. Everyone is a lucky star. Brother Hao pushed his glasses and smiled. He is in a good mood. With the legendary advanced materials, with his abundant financial resources, maybe the first legendary weapon in the game was born in his own hands. When the time comes, the throne of the first mage will be mine. We accept your task. Your Excellency. Hao Gu and the others quickly agreed, and began to tell everything about this world. The world of Dora's tomb is similar to the main material plane where Shillong was before, and it is a world of magic and war spirit. The human beings in this world are also dominant, but their combat power seems to be much weaker. In the cognition of Ao Gu and others, the highest strength is only tier 10, which does not rule out their shallow knowledge. The strongest should be the omniscient and almighty God in their mouth. Milbolocks. But no one has ever seen this make a move. The strongest known on the mainland are the 20-odd 10th tier powerhouses. They are the guardians of various empires. The land under Shillong's feet now belongs to the Ran Empire. One of the 3 empires on the mainland. The empire is in a state of alliance, working together against creatures in the secret realm. This kind of mystery is everywhere, randomly generated, and inside are all kinds of weird worlds. If it is not stopped in time, the creatures inside will go to the world of Dora's tomb and destroy everything. These players said a lot, and each of them rushed to talk about their knowledge of the mainland. After talking for several hours, after the sun was about to set, they seemed to have nothing to say, but they were still listening when they saw Shillong. So I can only continue to bite the bullet and talk about the gossip of such and such powerful people. For example, the Emperor of the Ran Empire was rumored to be a pornographic monster who had an affair with his sisters. The Duke of Roses of the Empire is a great beauty, but she has raised more than 100 beautiful men to provide her with pleasure day and night. I heard that for more than 10 years, 2 or 3 deaths a year. Shillong had listened to too much lace news and finally had no interest at all, so he called it a stop. The 12 players immediately stared at Shillong with their shiny eyes. Seems to be looking forward to Shillong giving them the sunshine water drop. You talk a lot, but you didn't get to the point. Xylem said, are you players? Player? Don't you call us the Destiny? Aogu was a little surprised. The dragon also said that we were the first person he met? Just fart. You even know the word player, and you haven't talked to anyone yet? Destiny? What happens after you die? Xylem asked again. We are the Destiny who are blessed by the all-knowing and almighty God. Death will not fall on us. At most, we will be weak for 48 hours. Aogu has nothing to hide. Many NPCs know these things. In other words, these NPCs are really smart. The understanding ability is almost the same as that of normal people. Then when did you enter our world? 5 years ago, we were summoned by the all-knowing and almighty God before we came here to fight the monsters in the secret realm. We will become the saviors of this world. Xylem silently tasted and digested the words of these players. All the players stared at him blankly. The sky outside was dark, but their eyes were bright and scary. Everyone is waiting for the moment to complete the task. Shillong also saw their eyes and asked what happened to these guys. So want my saliva? So many people are watching. It makes me feel embarrassed. Shillong coughed slightly, then opened his mouth, spitting out a string of liquid onto his front paws. It was a pool of hot, red shiny liquid with occasional golden light flowing. Part 2. As if afraid of their misunderstanding, Xylem said, these are treasures that I have treasured for a long time. They have been stored in an independent space in my body. This time it's cheaper for you. It can be regarded as a gift. I haven't seen a human being in 1,000 years. The Oge team looked at the liquid on Shillong's paws, all overjoyed. Look at these fiery red water drops. One by one is transparent and shiny like gems. They are so beautiful. Someone couldn't help reaching out to touch it, but just touched it. He hissed and retracted his hands like lightning. Damn, it's hot. He was talking while blowing the wind vigorously. It felt like touching a piece of hot molten iron. The hands almost burned. Others looked at the team information and found that this guy's life was directly 1/10 less, and it was still declining. You guy, is poisonous? Can this kind of baby be touched by hand? Brother Hao shook his head while watching, took out a small black bottle from his storage space, and then took it from Shillong's paw. Over the liquid. When the liquid entered the small black bottle, he showed a relieved smile. Afterwards, he turned his head and said to the others, brothers, this legendary material, every 10 million union coins, if you want to sell, I will accept them. 10 million? Someone was shocked. Not bad. My goodness. You deserve to be Brother Hao. If you pay for 10 million, you can pay for it, just like buying a bottle of drinks for a few dollars. Domineering. Amazing. Someone exclaimed. How is it? Is anyone selling it? Brother Hao asked. Sell it. Why not sell it? Someone said quickly. 5 people in the team said they wanted to sell, but none of the others spoke. It seems ready to take it back and wait and see. Brother Hao first distributed his spare little black bottle to everyone. This little black bottle is not an ordinary thing, but a container of perfect quality. No one else on the team would bring this kind of thing. They can only bring ordinary glass bottles at most. When someone wanted to use this kind of ordinary bottle to fill liquid, he exploded the glass bottle directly, and the sun drops to the ground. The man's face turned green on the spot. Fortunately, the water droplets did not directly dissolve in the soil. Then Hao, who was on the road, took out the small black bottle and filled it with him. He handed out all the small black bottles and asked them to fill in the water droplets. After that, he didn't talk about the transaction. They should be done after returning to the city. Thank you for your generosity. Great Dragon, do you have anything else to help? Someone asked. Everyone looked at Shillong with eyesight, hoping to say a need in his mouth. Just when Xylem wanted to refuse, the ground vibrated suddenly. Touch, 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 very slight. Why is this happening? Earthquake? Someone asked puzzledly. I don't think it's like it. It's like a group of large monsters rushing over. Brother Monkey spoke at this time. Hey, Brother Monkey, don't talk nonsense. Imo hurriedly stopped. It is definitely not an ordinary creature that can make this kind of movement, and it feels that if you deal with it with the combat power of their team, there is absolutely no life. Touch, touch. The sound of the earthquake gradually became clear. More than 20 Tyrannosaurus-like monsters appeared in the distance of the plain. They all have extremely majestic bodies. Ordinary, the height is about 10 meters. The lead is about 13 meters. The thick hind limbs, every step, will cause the ground to shake. My God, I was really hit by Brother Monkey's crow mouth. Momo cried out. This is the Tyrannosaurus King and his race. Damn it, they are the overlords of the Blackrock Plain. The Tyrannosaurus King has a rank 7 monster, and the other two doesn't have rank 6 strength. We can't fight this kind of team monster. Run. Tyrannosaurus is a monster with excellent physical strength and defense. The Tyrannosaurus King and the dragons killed by them before are both tier 7, and the boss level is also the same, and the strength is absolutely equal. But the Tyrannosaurus King has many younger brothers, and if they really want to fight, they will be destroyed in an instant. Asking their team to have 20 or 30 more is not enough for the Tyrannosaurus. Momo smeared the soles of his feet and immediately wanted to drive off, but Aogu grabbed him and said, "Don't worry, we have a better one here." Huh. Momo was taken aback, and then he glanced at Shillong next to him, before he realized that Shillong had already opened his mouth. A lot of sparkling sparks sputtered out of his mouth. Foo as he spit out suddenly. A spiral flame column fiercely moved toward the Tyrannosaur at the forefront. The pillar of fire brushed past Momo, making him feel that his eyes were bright, and at the same time, the high temperature that was enough to distort the space directly burned him. Minus 980. 2631 damn. Help. Several people who were close screamed strangely. They were almost killed by the surrounding heat. The water in the body was almost taken away in an instant. Scream away from the pillar of fire. The rotating pillar of fire hit the Tyrannosaurus King's body straight. Boom. The moment the pillar of fire hits Wuxia World, online it burst into a large fireball, completely covering the Tyrannosaurus King. Ouch. Following the howls of the Tyrannosaurus King, Shillong only saw a huge number, minus 122,874, jumping out of his opponent. Following a series of minus 20,281 and minus 21,358, the frequency is very fast, appearing 3 or 4 times a second. But within 3 seconds, the Tyrannosaurus King fell down. Then Sillon's head turned slightly, and the pillar of fire swept over the other 20-odd heads. These Tyrannosaurus brothers were even more vulnerable. At the moment the fireball broke out, the numbers of 140,000 and 150,000 jumped out and accompanied them. Their king is gone. In 6 or 7 seconds, the Tyrannosaurus clan that dominated the plains was destroyed. Chapter 273. This directly made the Oge team look at it. Is it too simple? Brother House said with bright eyes. As expected to be a 10th tier powerhouse. It's amazing. Touch the corpse. Brother Monkey said again. A word awakened all players. They happily ran to the dry skin, like Tyrannosaurus who had been roasted. They were only swept by the pillar of fire, but they seemed to have been burned for several hours in the fire. Completely burnt. These guys stepped up to the front, one by one melee, fighters, and thieves, skillfully digging through the belly of Tyrannosaurus with weapons. When they were completely opened up, they didn't rush to open it, but prayed to the omniscient and almighty God. Xylem watched for a while and said, "The monster I killed for you, you don't thank me, but thank that Milbo?" Huh. Oge and the others were dumbfounded. What's the matter with this NPC? Still question this? Isn't it normal to thank the omniscient and almighty God? Does he think we didn't thank him? We are very grateful for your generosity, but you really don't know your name, so don't blame it. Aogu said with an awkward smile. My name is Xylem Soderberg. Xylem said, good name. There is a strong demeanor as soon as you hear it. Thank you, Sir Shillong. Aogu said again. Yeah. Shillong nodded. Then Oge and the others continued to pray, and this time they cleverly added Shillong's name. Then I broke open my belly and checked it carefully. There was nothing inside. But there are also 6, but there are a lot of goods in the stomach. Like Tyrannosaurus King, there are 6 or 7 items in his stomach. A pair of armor, a magic ball, a stone, a dagger, etc. All these players are very excited. Shipped. An epic dagger. An epic magic ball. This Tyrannosaurus King is also too generous, 2 at a time. More powerful than the previous dragon. Mada. The epic dagger actually has more than 500 attacks. It is 250 higher than my excellence. I really want it. But what should I do if I have no money? A thief in the team said bitterly. Haha. Then go find Brother How for a PY deal. As long as Brother How is interested in you. Is this epic dagger still something? Someone joked. What nonsense. I'm going to find Brother How PY. Isn't Shaoli trying to kill me? The thief smiled. You kid understand. Shaoli muttered, and then faced Brother How. Brother How. Look. An epic magic ball. You can become even better again. This magic ball, although it is epic, is 10 points less magical than mine, and there are some other attributes, I don't want it. Brother How shook his head. As expected of Brother How, Shaoli worshipped. Others slapped up with them, just when everyone wants to divide the spoils. Karma, there was another weird roar from the sky. Aogu and others looked up at the sky, and found that even though the sky was dark in the distance, a group of monsters resembling pterodactyls and bats could still be seen flying towards here. They are in groups, almost filling the sky. Each is very large, with a wingspan of more than 15 meters. The leader is even at the 20-meter level. This is a sharp-mouthed poisonous dragon. The sky overlord in this area, Mada. The leader is also 7th, and the younger brother is more than the Tyrannosaurus King. 60 to 70. The strength ranges from Tier 4 to Tier 6. Fuck. What day is it today? They're not here for us, are they? Someone surprised. I think it should be. Suddenly, one person said. It was Brother Monkey, and everyone saw him staring at these pointed poisonous dragons with shining eyes. What do you say about the crow's mouth? Someone was dissatisfied. The cries of quack, quack, got closer and closer, until a few hundred meters later, they began to dive toward the Oge team. Damn, it really came for us. Mada run, someone said, trying to run away. But Brother Monkey immediately stopped him. What are you running? This is a good thing. While talking, Brother Monkey glanced at Shillong again. This person finally reacted, yes, today is a good day. As he spoke, the nasal blisters came out beautifully. Shillong couldn't understand the meaning of these players, but he didn't mean to watch the show deliberately, and another pillar of fire spewed out. Boom. The pillar of fire spanned hundreds of meters and blasted directly on the body of the sharp-mouthed poisonous Dragon King. Minus 131,587. Minus 25,478. Minus 24,891 strings of damage jumped out, but within a second, the poisonous Dragon King was gone. Then the pillar of fire swept across. All the sharp-billed poisonous dragons burst into flames, like dazzling fireworks in the night sky, howling and falling from the sky, one by one exuding a strong smell of barbecue. It's so fragrant suddenly Shillong thought of a question. Can a monster in this world eat it? With this question, he was one step ahead of the player, and came to a sharp-mouthed poisonous dragon, with a mouthful to his abdomen. Can eat. And it smells good. Is this world really just a pure game world? Shillong didn't believe it even more. The members of Oge's team saw that Shillong directly started to eat the sharp-mouthed poisonous dragon, watching them one by one, and some people felt very distressed. After all, it is a high-level monster. Everything on the body is valuable. And like Brother Hao, it doesn't matter. He only cares whether the leader has epic equipment. That is there anything in the stomach of the sharp-billed poisonous dragon? By the way, GM is really nasty. Why should I drop all the equipment of these large beasts in my stomach? Everything is open. All kinds of disgusting things inside. Really make people scalp numb. For this reason, this game has lost many sister players. Shillong ate a few sharp-billed poisonous dragons. The ground shook again, this time more than the first time. It's like a beast galloping. That's the truth. From a distance, Aogu and others saw tens of thousands of various beasts rushing towards them. The leader is also the overlord monster here. Consumption of mammoth giant elephant. This monster size is not much worse than the previous Tyrannosaurus King. The body is more majestic, and the two sharp ivory is 6 or 7 meters long, like a giant sword, straight forward. A group of giant elephants followed. Tigers, lions, giant wolves, and other similar monsters. There are thousands of bird monsters flying in the sky. Cover the sky. Amazing. My God. What the is going on today? Why are so many monsters rioting? Momo wondered. Damn, we are going to make a fortune. How much equipment will these monsters explode? Brother Monkey said aside. I think we should run. Xiaoli's scalp was a little numb when faced with this situation. What are you running? There are big bosses. We just wait to pick up the equipment. I dare say that the monsters in the entire plane are here. At that time, let's go to their lair and search them one by one, instead of just taking off. The monkey brother said more and more beautiful, and his excited face was red. You are sick. With so many weird things, even a tier 10 dragon can't be defeated, right? Xiaoli cried. No, how could it be impossible? The front is all equipment, all money. Brother Monkey was a little confused. Brother Monkey is guilty of old problems. Let's run first. Don't be affected. Aogu was very calm and quickly directed the team to run away. And Silem looked at these monsters and suddenly thought of himself as someone from another world. Is this being rejected by the world? He was not sure, so he flew to the sky, 2 kilometers above the strange bird. As a result, the flying birds turned up and continued to chase him. On the land, they stopped running and roared fiercely at the sky. Oge and the others who had been running away turned their heads and found that things were quite strange. The target of these monsters is not them, but Shillong, who is also an NPC monster. What is this? NPCs cannibalize each other, and the player fisherman benefits? Part 2. At this moment, Aogu and the others really wanted the two sides to fight quickly, and the reality immediately developed in the direction they expected. The birds in the sky spit lightning, flames, and frost, and blasted toward Shillong. And the little black dragon of Shillong rushed directly into this elemental tide. When he plagiarized through these elements, there was no harm on his body. He was like an eagle, smashing into a flock of sparrows. Every time you swing your claws and swing your wings, you can instantly kill a strange bird. Let them scream and fall from the sky. Landing at a height of 1,000 meters will naturally end with only one death. You said, why doesn't that strange dragon called Shillong breathe fire? When will this fight? I'm still waiting to touch the corpse. Someone looked at the monster corpses falling all over the sky, greedy. After the monster corpses fell, they were too close to the land monster group. If you pass by, you will definitely enter the monster's attack range. It may be that the flames sprayed earlier consumed too much. You have also seen the power. The 7th order monster kings are all instantaneous kills, and this consumption is definitely not small. Someone analyzed. At this time, Shillong, why not use flame directly? In fact, the reason is very nonsense. He wants to exercise. Because of the sharp increase in flame power before, he hasn't exercised for a long time. You know, his physical strength is also extremely powerful, not much worse than flame strength at all. The crimson light on the dragon wing flashed, and Shillong turned into a crimson streamer and began to rampage among the monsters. Ha 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 ha. Every time the Qijin streamer passes through a place where monsters are densely packed and hits a group of strange birds, there will be a burst of laughter. This is laughter of excitement and joy. It feels like playing a game and driving Wushuang, mowing wildly. No monster can resist him. The entire dark night sky is his stage, and the red gold streamer dances back and forth in the air, drawing a beautiful golden track. That peculiar beauty stunned Oge and others. As a girl, Xiaoli felt the strongest. She stared blankly at the red gold streamer dancing back and forth in the sky, and said blankly, What is this? Isn't it too beautiful? The world of Doris Tomb. In a unique space composed of light of different colors. There was a human with blonde hair and black eyes standing above the void. He silently looked at the void in front of him. There was a screen there, playing everything after Shillong appeared. At this time, it was playing the scene of Shillong transforming into a golden meteor, shuttled among the monsters, constantly shooting down the monsters. The man is known as the omniscient and almighty god, Merbolox. He looked at everything in his face in silence. Suddenly he said, What is the result of the test? What is the winning rate for me and him against this intruder? Dear qualified person, after analysis. Your strength is level 11 advanced, and your opponent is level 11 intermediate, with a winning rate of 85.13465%. A burst of emotionless electronic sound. Isn't it 90%? Milbo frowned. It seems that this intruder has some strength. I'm not suitable to shoot now. To be safe, let him wander in my world for a while, and it will not be too late to clean him up when my winning percentage reaches 99.9999%. Tell me, according to my current development, how much more I can achieve my goal. Milbo considers himself a safe god, and he naturally needs to have complete control before he can do it. As for why not 100%? Because of the analysis of the brain, there will be no 100% possibility. No matter how small, things may end unexpectedly. Dear qualified person, you now have a total of 156,794,139 belief points. If you invest all of your own godheads, you will immediately have a 98.46157% winning rate, and then after 1 year, 3 months, and 2 days, you can reach the target winning percentage. Those belief points are my foundation. How can they be spent so easily? Re-statistics, if I keep 100 million belief points forever, how long will it take? Milbo continued. It takes 3 years, January 25th, 9 o'clock, and your strength will reach tier 12. Not bad. Milbo smiled. The strength of the 10th rank is almost beyond the ordinary. The soldier receives bullets empty-handed, and the dense bodyguards can fly bullets. The speed can be almost 200 meters per second. As for legal professions, a forbidden curse can almost kill living creatures within a few kilometers. Even in reality, as long as it is in densely populated cities, there is almost no way for the Federation to take the rank 10 strong. The 11th tier powerhouse is one step closer on this basis, even if the general heavy weapons are not afraid. What about the 12th order? Is it because I am invincible except for those disaster weapons that destroy the city? It's really great. As long as the world of Doris Tomb is in my hands, I can become stronger infinitely, eventually become a true god. All real players are a source of energy for me. I will be invincible in the world. Hum ha 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 ha. At the end of his talk, Milbo had ignored the exotic dragon of Shillong Wuxia world. Online as he spoke, he thought of the days when he became a god and laughed wildly. Shillong turned into a golden streamer, accompanied by bursts of furious laughter. Countless strange birds fell. Tens of thousands of monsters fell to the ground and died within 2 to 3 minutes. The corpses are all over the floor. It's like a hill. Immediately afterwards, the streamer formed by Shillong turned and killed the behemoth towards the ground. These giant beasts are in front of Lu Guang, like a little sheep encountering a big truck, and they are either dead or injured, falling down piece by piece like wheat, and these behemoths can only roar. Chapter 274. As a hunter, Oge with good eyesight can clearly see the terror in the eyes of these behemoths even if they are hundreds of meters away. This is too wrong. Generally speaking, these monsters should have been slaughtered by Lord Shillong like this. They should have run away long ago. The previous Tyrannosaurus Legion and the sharp-billed poisonous dragon were sparsely populated, coupled with the use of flame by Lord Shillong, and they were eliminated directly from a distance. But these tens of thousands of strange birds and land behemoths? Looking at their eyes, I was obviously afraid of death, but it seemed that there was some power preventing them from running away. Let them fight the fire with their insignificant life moths. Well, what to do with so much? I only know that we are going to make a fortune. Brother Monkey smiled wryly. He laughed like this when he was tall, giving people a strong sense of disobedience. Dead monkey, don't laugh more wretched than Momo. Can you learn from Brother Hao? What is a quiet, beautiful man? Shaoli said, standing beside Brother Hao. I said, Shaoli, you are so embarrassed to touch Brother Hao. How does he talk? While talking, Brother Monkey glanced at the other person. This Shaoli, standing beside Brother Hao, raised and lowered his hands one to the other. However, Brother Hao didn't say a word. After all, Shaoli, as a beauty, was very comfortable when she was touched by a beauty. Now that he was spotted, Shaoli didn't mean to let go. He just smiled and said, Brother Hao's clothes are wrinkled. I will just smooth them out. Don't think too much. Then give me the whole thing. You see my robe is wrinkled. Imo smiled wretchedly on one side. You should do it yourself. Have you been doing it since childhood? Momo made a light cut, cursing both men and women secretly in his heart. Hey you guys, can you be more serious? Oge stroked his forehead with a headache. Cough, Brother Hao said with a light cough. I think there may be a real king in this territory, and he may have felt the breath of Lord Shillong. As the saying goes, there is no room for two tigers in a mountain. The king of this land naturally wants to drive His Excellency Shillong away, but he may be cautious by nature, so he sent his men to test first. Brother Hao is right. It makes sense. As expected of Brother Hao, Shaoli echoed with a group of members. In the middle of a group of people joking and chatting, a few minutes passed. Soon, all the screaming beasts turned into corpses. Xylem stood in front of the corpses all over the floor and stood up, twisting his neck and forelegs slightly. I was active just now, and I feel that my mentality is much younger. Great. Ding the players, Golden Steel Orangutan. My head is a little big. Judo Master. Have admired you. And given that you are a potential qualified person, you have obtained the seed of Godhead. You have gained 1 point of faith from Golden Steel Orangutan. My head is a bit big, 1 point of faith. And Judo Master, 1 point of faith. Your faith amount is 3/200000000. When the faith amount is full, you will get a seedling of the first level Godhead. Shillong was taken aback. What the hell? This game-like world can still reward Godhead? Is it the Lord of Dawn? But soon, he reacted again. Fake. Godhead is so simple. It should be just to end this game. Shillong thinks so. He glanced at Oge and the others who were rushing here. Everyone was very excited. However, the monkey-faced warrior and the other two players will faintly glance at him, with a look of worship. Obviously, these three contributed to his faith. Wait, they worship and believe in me. Why don't they flow into the fragments of the Godhead of the Lord of Dawn? Is it really just a game? Waiting until Aogu and others approached, he only saw Aogu with a grateful expression. Your Excellency Ciro. You? Those behind him, can we clean up? You are free, Xylem replied, and he was not interested in watching them dig out the corpse and touch the equipment. Instead, he flew into the sky and left. He wanted to find some NPCs who could communicate with him to see what the world was like. And with Shillong's departure, the Oge team underneath immediately started to work. Even now the sky is completely dark, but their hearts are extremely hot. They are now doing what countless players dream of. Open the body and get cramps. Pieces of equipment were dissected from the belly of the giant beast. Just started to work for 10 minutes. The action of Oge holding a short knife to unplanning was just one meal. With his eyesight, he suddenly discovered that hundreds of meters away, a 4-person team was quietly approaching here. Their movements were extremely secretive, and they always approached obstacles when they walked. Suffered. This is definitely the monster's too much movement, which has disturbed the players. I am afraid that more will come over in a while. For people, I'm afraid more than that. Aogu quickly turned on his Tier 5 skill, the True Eye. White light was emitted from the eyes. As soon as he turned his head, he saw a dim black shadow, quietly approaching them. The distance was less than 100 meters at this time. Brothers, someone is leaning over. Everyone be careful. Aogu quickly shouted. Wake up those little friends who are still doing corpses. Damn, really someone is coming. Mudun, these are ours. Whoever dares to grab, I will kill anyone. Brother Monkey stood up and cursed, looking at several figures in the distance with a ferocious expression. Others quickly stood up and stood up. In the world of Doris Tomb, killing in the wild is normal. Although in this world, improving strength has little to do with killing monsters, all kinds of valuable materials and equipment are still necessary for players. The four who had just arrived saw that they were discovered, and they immediately confessed. One of the mage-like people hurriedly waved and said, "Brothers, don't do it. You see there are so many trophies here. Everyone has their points. Let's get started. Not good for everyone. Unnecessary, right?" They said so, but they themselves did not relax their vigilance. The thief is still sneaking. Who is your brother? These are all Lao Tzu's. You bastards. You definitely want to be greedy for Lao Tzu's baby. Brother Monkey didn't want to say much to him. Charge. The sturdy figure turned into an afterimage and quickly slammed into the mage who had spoken before. Fuck. How dare you do it first? Brothers mess with them. Seeing that things couldn't be better, the mage quickly launched an attack with the brothers. The fighters also charged up. Yu reading www.uukangshu.com. The mage and archer began to output, and the thieves increased their speed and ran towards the place. Pong. Brother Monkey bumped into each other's fighters, but the strength of the two seemed to be not at the same level, and the other was knocked back several steps by Brother Monkey. A damage value of -15 appeared on the head. It's all mine. Brother Monkey roared wildly, raising his shield and shooting the enemy's face 3 times. Clang clang. -69, -78, -92. The Warrior's Life Drops by January 10th. Chapter 275. Then Brother Monkey roared again. Body. Hum. A golden human figure rose from him. The opponent's bows and arrows blasted with spells on it, bursting into fireworks. -6-4-7, -5-9. Brother Monkey's blood bar only lost a trace. Damn. This is a Tier 6 advanced combat technique. Brothers. The wind is tight. The mage on the opposite side didn't see it right and quickly wanted to retreat. How do they fight against this kind of Tier 6 fighter team? Is there a pit in your mind? In Gaori's game, the detection skills can only detect NPCs, but can't detect players? The beauty of thinking. Brother Hao murmured in the distance. The staff in his hand has been raised high. Feel the passion of the flame. Flame storm. Boom. In an instant, a little spark appeared next to the 3 opponents in the back row, and then a red flame exploded, completely engulfed the 3 back rows. -1123, -1104, -1095-96, -87, -91, with a burst of explosion damage and a series of continuous damage. The 3 back rows were instantly destroyed and the light disappeared. My God. The thief was taken aback. He turned around and wanted to run. But Oge's eyes lit up with a burst of white light at this time, like bright light in the dark night. The bow and arrow in his hand are full. Whoosh whoosh. 3 consecutive shots. -512, -486, -453. The thieves were second. All the dead players' corpses instantly turned into white light and disappeared. They will be resurrected at the Resurrection Temple in the city. In the end, there was only one warrior left, but he didn't last long before he was slapped crazily on the face by Brother Monkey's shield. Slapped to death. Before he died, his face was swollen into a muggle. Brothers. That group of will probably be horrible later, plus the previous movement is so loud. There will definitely be people coming to check it out. We hurriedly dissected the 7th rank, and then picked a few 6th rank back to the city. Sure enough, just as everyone was planning to solve the problem, a few more teams came, but how these people were opponents of Aogu and others, they were sent home in 2s or 2s. But here is not far from the nearest resurrection point. It takes less than 20 minutes to ride over. Oge has been watching the time. 18 minutes have passed since the first batch. Oge hurriedly stopped the players and ran away. 3 or 4 minutes passed. A team of more than 30 people arrived here on horseback. The wizard riding in front sprinkled several lighting techniques on the ground and was stunned by the monster body in front of him. Damn, what Zhao Er and Zhang San said is actually true. Now we are developed. Ha 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 ha, one of the leading soldiers laughed. And Zhao Er and Zhang San beside him were the first players who were killed by Aogu and others. They didn't show too much happy expressions, but looked around and found that the few people who killed them were no longer there. Damn it, brothers are dead in vain. Mage Zhao punched the horse below him with some annoyance. The horse under him neighed and jumped. Zhao flew up from the horse and fell to the ground and a dog gnawed shit. Damn! He cursed, suddenly feeling dizzy, and quickly covered his head with his hands. You two have to be careful. It's not the first time you died. I don't know how uncomfortable it is during the death penalty period. It is a trivial matter to reduce 90% attributes. All kinds of resistance drops, dizziness and dizziness are uncomfortable. Oh brother Mao, those guys who killed us ran away. I can't be angry. Zhao said depressed. Run and run. Now let's take the surprise in front of us first. Captain Mao jumped off the horse and was about to start dissecting. Where does he care about his little brother's troubles? Came to the side of a huge Sabayahu. This is a tier 6 fierce beast, with a high probability of producing excellent equipment. Just as he was about to dissect, he suddenly found that his stomach had been broken open. It was already empty inside. I'm doing it. Why is it empty inside? Brother Mao was furious, and quickly looked at a tier 5 kangaroo monster beside him. I realized that my stomach hadn't been broken open, and he was slightly relieved. But soon he reacted again. Some did not. Obviously, the people Zhao Er and Zhang San mentioned before started the action first. Those high-level monsters have definitely been touched. There is probably nothing inside. Thinking of this, Brother Mao was furious, and he wanted to find out the previous team immediately and kill him 10 times and 8 times. But he also knew that now was not the time. The most urgent thing was to dispose of the remaining monster corpses. Even if the big head is removed, the remaining part will definitely make them a big deal. He hurriedly greeted his subordinates to start the autopsy. These subordinates were extremely excited at first, but soon they found something was wrong. Some people who were not thinking about it hurriedly asked the smart ones, and then knew the cause and effect, and vowed to kill the people who killed Zhao Er and Zhang San thousands of times. To avenge my brother. Prove the brotherhood of everyone. Just as they gritted their teeth for anatomy, someone came again. They are also the people called by players killed by Aogu and others, and they all know that there are tens of thousands of monster corpses. There are enough babies to fish. When they saw that someone had already started to dissect the body, how could this be tolerated? These are theirs. Immediately one by one was as good as taking gunpowder. Just picking up the guy was doing it. Not even a word of bullshit. Arrow rain, colorful spells fell towards those who were still squatting on the ground for dissection. In just an instant, several players were killed in seconds. This made Brother Mao and others furious, and immediately began to fight back. The entire monster corpse quickly evolved into a land of war. Then the people killed by Oge continued to join, and the war gradually expanded. Some people think that they are not opponents. What should I do? Shake people. They immediately used the game's built-in communication function to send messages to their friends. Haishi Plain, coordinates XXXX, there are tens of thousands of monster corpses at XXXX that have not been touched. If you want to get rich, come quickly. Who can refuse such a tempting message? Without saying anything, my friends put aside the things at hand, rushed to the coordinated place, and looked at the battlefield where the flames of war flew. Looking at the monster body over there, they all seem to understand. All forces are vying for the treasures here. Therefore, these later friends continue to send messages to their friends. Blackrock Plains, coordinates XXXX, there are tens of thousands of monster corpses at XXXX that have not been touched. If you want to make a fortune, hurry up. I'm sure there is epic equipment in it, and there is more than one. Then these friends came to have a look. I rely on. They also understood instantly. Then continue to send messages to friends. Blackstone Plains, coordinates XXXX, XXXX, all major forces are competing for legendary equipment. If you want to make a fortune, hurry up. Fuck. Legend? When these friends saw the news, each of them was about to twitch with excitement. This is so that the entire game player does not own it. If they get it and sell it directly, how can they sell hundreds of millions of federal coins? At that time it really is, once the dream comes true. Facing the ocean, spring and blossom? Spend half in reality and half in games. In reality, luxury cars, villas, beautiful women. In the game, I am a mix and match of epic and excellence, 7 or 8 skills. A bunch of fans. Really proud of life. Just think about it. The facts are getting more and more outrageous. The melee team has grown stronger, and later, it has evolved into complete chaos. They can't tell which one is their own, and just do it when they see it.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card or directly on my channel. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.